Morning, folks.
Who said that?
It was JD.
Good morning, Mark.
Hey, JD.
Good morning,
Who was that?
Benaz.
Hi, Benaz.
Hello, everybody.
Good
I
morning.
got the wrong view.
As we're watching this, I'm letting people in. So Coyote Kickoff is starting here, but we are also trying to get folks led into the meeting. So there will likely be a lot of this today where I'm trying to monitor the chat and let people in and do some other things on screen here. So we're just getting going here. And I know there were some questions this morning coming from faculty and staff just about what's happening, the virtual version versus the physical version. So because of the smoke, which you can see back here on the live cam, it's pretty smoky right now in Tahoe. It's actually this whole region, it's quite smoky. So we're primarily doing this here in a virtual sense here. So we can't necessarily be on campus, but we're getting a virtual experience here. So what we'll do today is have a range of different things happening. So we have students coming in our traditional Coyote Kickoff. We have booths set up where you could meet all the faculty. You can interact with all the faculty and staff in what we call our meta majors. These are the areas of study. There are 5 different meta majors. We'll be talking about these today. We have a lot planned today. So as people drop in and leave, we'll have a lot of different activities. We will certainly talk about the college. We'll give you an orientation to the website. We have student ambassadors who are logging on. So if you're a student and you need help with scheduling, you need information about student clubs, you need anything related to what meta majors are and so forth, we'll have all that information available for you. I put in the chat today, if you're interested, these are particularly for students, and I'm saying this because we have faculty, staff, students, administrators, community members logged on, and obviously I won't be able to tell who's who. If you ever have a question, you can always unmute yourself. You can send me a private or a group message. You just go to the chat. You'll find that on your bar, and you can ask a question. And I put in the chat today information particularly relevant to our students. So at any point, if you would like to log on right now between 11 and 2, speak to a counselor live, you could simply use this link. It's available in the chat. It's a very cool program called Cranium Cafe. As many of you know, since we've moved virtually since COVID-19, most of our services are offered in a virtual sense, although we do have a skeleton crew on campus doing important work, and keeping the building going, and student services is still staffing and so forth, a lot of different offices. A lot of the faculty and staff are working from home, and part of that has been adapting to these uncertain times and trying to offer you many of these services virtually. So in addition to meeting a student ambassador live today and having a conversation, we'll talk about student clubs. We'll have any questions. We'll answer any questions that you might have about Ltcc. We have so many faculty and staff available. So if you have questions about financial aid, or you want to know how do I pass my A&P class, or how do I pass my poli-sci or sociology class or music, we have so many faculty on board today. People will be coming and going between the 11 and 2 o'clock hour. So as different people pop on, we will have different experts on different areas of the campus. Again, if you're a student and you want to log on to Cranium Cafe, that link is provided here for you today. So certainly you can have access to that. And as we're just getting going here, I'm letting some additional people in. You may remember that not too long ago, we actually had in-person versions of this. In fact, 1 year ago, not quite to this day, but pretty close, we had a in-person version of the Coyote Kickoff. And this is just kind of showing you what that looked like. We had the table set up, and I'm aware today that we still have, I'm just letting Sue Kloss in, and she's speaking virtually. So I think that's some sort of cosmic alignment here of the virtual and the physical. Sue, you're on live, and you're also virtually speaking to us from last year. So that's pretty cool. So this is Sue speaking last year at the Coyote Kickoff. This was a video that I shot. And it was an event in which obviously things were different. We didn't have COVID-19, and so we weren't wearing face masks. We weren't doing social distancing. And Sue here is talking about her meta major. We had all the 5 meta majors set out with all their stuff, their fun gear, their equipment, talking about what it is that they teach and why we have these meta majors. And in fact, we'll be talking about that today. So does anyone want to kick off just a little bit about maybe meta majors, since we're seeing some of this video? Anyone want to unmute themselves? And students, as you're logged on today, if you have questions about meta majors, you could certainly ask those questions. Anyone want to just give a brief overview of what we did last year with the meta majors and what the Coyote Kickoff was? And who wants to jump on? Michael? I saw you were unmuted. Anyone could jump on. So let me talk about a little bit. So,
I thought you were doing a great job, Scott.
okay, so here are the meta majors. So we started a program not too long ago to try to help all of you students out there to figure out your majors and to really figure out a way of getting your degree or certificate or the training that you need to transfer to a CSU or a UNR or a UC in a more guided sense. And so we launched this program called Guided Pathways. And in fact, most of the community colleges across the state, many across the country as well, have launched this program that involves trying to make sure that you don't spend 10 years trying to get your degree or certificate. Now, we certainly encourage you to take classes for enrichment, but more and more, and you're seeing here on the screen actually just some of the different meta majors. So what Guided Pathways involves is trying to help you select a career pathway or a vocational pathway or a major pathway in a more meaningful and directed sense. So the college spent quite a bit of time going through our shared governance processes, working with a local graphic designer who did an amazing job on these badges. And what we did was we tried to then put all of the like programs in these 5 meta majors. And by the way, today, I want to mention this a little bit for those of you who perhaps watch, any of you fans of Andy Cohen out there, watch What Happens Live? Anyone out there? No one watches Watch What Happens Live? No?
I
Ever heard
do.
of that
I think
show?
it's great. It's amazing. I love it.
Okay, you've heard of it. So let me let someone else in. So we have a word of the day. So anytime you hear the word, everyone say it, meta major. Sorry,
Meta major.
being
Meta
interrupted here.
major.
Hold on one second.
Mega major.
Hold on one second. I'm going to mute myself. Give me a second, everyone.
We need more prompting, Scott. We're not as quick on the uptake here.
Sorry, I just got Zoom bombed by my wife, so it's okay. So yeah, anytime you hear today the word meta major, you can, now not all of you drink. Michael, you can have a sip of coffee. So if you hear the word meta major anytime today, you can do a shot. If you're straight edge, you could read a passage from your favorite Kafka novel. You can enjoy your libations, whatever those might be. Any kind of medicinal herbs like turmeric or something like that, anytime you hear the word meta major. So in any case, we have these meta majors and they're set up in a way for the students out there that are watching today to really help you choose a pathway, to help you figure out early on, maybe a career you want to go into, maybe an area of study, a transfer area that you might get your GE and some of your transfer credits in. So we created the 5 meta majors, and they include art, languages, and humanities, business, hospitality, leadership, health and public safety, society, culture, and education, and science, technology, and environment. And if you go onto the Ltcc website, we encourage you to do that. You will simply look up, and we'll be talking about student clubs today. Get a lot of people. Hey, welcome everyone. Welcome to Coyote Kickoff Virtual 2020. Anytime though you need information about meta majors, go to our website, click the search bar, type in meta majors, and you'll get all the in-depth information a cool splash video here that shows you everything about the meta majors. You can then click on any of these and explore what's involved. So if you're interested in arts, languages, and humanities, you could definitely look at those majors. Anyone here, do we have any faculty? Do you want to give a little overview? Arts, languages, and humanities, what you do in your meta major? I'm just trying to.
Do you have anybody?
Mark, do you want to?
Well, I'm sort of commercial music or music. We kind of put between two meta majors.
Okay.
I mean, officially commercial music, since we don't have a traditional music degree or certificate, and we have a commercial music degree and certificate, we were placed in the business, hospitality, and leadership, partly because the commercial music area is considered a career technical education area. But yeah, typically, and I think maybe, I can't remember if some of the music courses got listed in the art area, or art or humanities area. That's kind of a Michelle Risden question, maybe.
Yeah, so what Mark Williams is referring to, and Mark teaches music. So if you get a chance, any students out there, please enroll in one of Mark's classes or his department classes. One of the things that came up when we tried to work on placing degrees, certificates in programs, we realized certain ones might overlap. If you look at health and public safety, which is really one of our premier programs because of a lot of interest, obviously, in things like wilderness studies and so forth, fire science, we realized that you could have some areas like wilderness studies that would actually span more than one meta major. The health and public safety, if you're learning about avalanche training and all those skills, obviously fit into that. But you could also think about business, hospitality, and leadership, because there's a lot of interest nowadays in people learning outdoor skills for the sake of understanding how to work with a team and so forth. So we realized that you might actually fall into more than one meta major, but the idea was to try to group as best we can the different programs into these 5 clusters of like interests. And then, as you saw from the video recently that we showed here, from last year's Coyote Kickoff, we have themed shirts. So if you're interested in a shirt, you're a student out there and you know you're going to be majoring in political science with Dr. Dirk and the Society of Culture and Education meta major, we could get you a t-shirt and get you set up as far as kind of that branding side of what the meta majors entail. So we have a lot of faculty logged on now. Any students out there who have pressing questions, you want to ask anyone here at the college a question about something, you want to log on the Cranium Cafe, you want to talk to Julie Booth about the Promise program. Any students out there, if you want to unmute yourself or raise your hand, we'll call on you and get you some help. Anyone out there who has a question? I'm just letting people in here. Anyone out there who wants to offer some word of advice to our students as far as getting started with a meta major, and you're brand new to LTCC and what that looks like, and advice that you have for our students? Sean Ryland, go ahead, unmute yourself.
Hey everybody. I know that I'm a prime culprit of this, as my classes are listed as being hybrid right now, but that is not actually the case. We've switched, we pivoted a couple weeks ago to go to an EVE format for all of the chemistry classes. So I would, for right now, I would, if you're unsure as a student, feel free to send any of your instructors an email, message them somehow, because what happens frequently is I sent out an announcement to all the students who were registered when we switched to being an EVE format, but I've had people register since then that didn't get that email. And so I would just, go ahead and be vocal, and don't be afraid to get in touch with your instructors if you think that they're is a hybrid class, or that if you're concerned about whether it's hybrid or not, or scheduling, any questions like that, we're used to getting those questions right now.
Sean, really great advice. And if you get a chance to go through the schedule, and if you're looking, as Sean's saying, we have 3 designators for classes. So in the past, we did a lot of face-to-face classes. What that means is you would come to the college, one college drive, you would go in your classroom, your chemistry lab, your A&P lab, and you'd take your class. And before COVID, of course, that was real normal for us. We've also had a lot of distance education classes for students on right now. We can show you a little demo today of what Canvas is. Canvas is our LMS, or learning management system. And that is the way that you learn all the instruction that you would like in a face-to-face classroom. So there's videos, there's discussions, we're using a lot of Zoom like we're doing today. We also have added, just because of COVID-19, what we call EVE classes. These are enhanced virtual education courses. So they're fully delivered in a virtual format online, but there's going to be more Zoom and more of this interactive virtual stuff going on that is trying to replicate what happens in a face-to-face class. And as Sean mentioned, there is also then something we call a hybrid class. And as Sean's saying, this is very fluid. So if there's questions that you have about this, reach out to your instructors, reach out to your student ambassadors. Any of us on campus will help you out. The hybrid class will involve some on-campus meetings to be determined, with physical distancing and personal protective equipment and all that kind of stuff. And I just saw an email go out about this, so I know that this is being figured out as we move along here. Anyone else want to offer something about that? If you're slated to teach a hybrid class, can you give our students a sense of what that's looking like? Sean has great instructions for us to follow, just to reach out to those instructors. Sue, go ahead. Sue Kloss.
Hi, anybody who's registered or interested in taking Bio 110 or 101, both cell and molecular biology. One is a prereq for A&P and micro, and the other is the bio majors first quarter course for the 3-quarter sequence. These classes are hybrid. The labs will mostly be face-to-face at Ltcc. And also we will be meeting for class Zoom meetings at our regularly scheduled time as listed in the schedule, which is going to differ depending on the class you're in. So feel free to email me or contact me. The first day of class, I will be giving copious amounts of how you can get me the most easily. But if you want to get to me before class starts, feel free to email me and I will be delighted to email you back. Thanks, everybody.
That's great, Sue. Sue's our wonderful, one of our 2 wonderful biology instructors, and many more, 2 full-time, Behnaz and Sue, who teach in biology, many part-time instructors as well. Sue brings up a good point, and I also got something in chat. One of the biggest questions we hear from students is, how do I know what format my class is in? It's a little, I can try to zoom in here a little bit. And move around here. So there are these indicators here that will show you if something is EVE, again, enhanced virtual education offered fully online with more of this interactive stuff on Zoom. Still would reach out to your instructors, even though we have times listed. I know because of COVID and the need for flexibility, a lot of instructors are allowing students opportunities for makeup. Say if you're in an EVE class like this one, figure drawing, and it meets from 5 to 8 p.m. Reach out to your instructor early on when you join the class, and that way they can tell you about any procedures related to makeups and so forth. If it says DE, then that's what we call asynchronous. So that means you meet online, but you may or may not have Zoom meetings like this. You might have discussion boards that you post. Maybe you post your response at 3 in the morning and the instructor gets back to you at 10 a.m. or whatever, and it's what we call asynchronous. What we're doing right now in Zoom is synchronous, so we're all participating virtually and having conversations. If your class says hybrid, and you can see that on the screen right here, then that's what Sean was getting at. Really reach out to your instructor and figure out what that's going to look like, because I know there's a lot of questions about how you're going to meet. I know everyone on campus is doing things super safe. All the procedures related to safety, taking your temperature, social distancing, personal protective equipment, and so forth. Let me answer a couple chat questions here that are coming up here. Julie asked about how do I know if I have a hybrid class? Again, the schedule is fairly up to date, but things have changed, so it is important to reach out to your instructor as soon as possible. Every single class on the LTCC campus has what's called a Canvas shell, and Canvas is our learning management system, and what that means is it's the way that you do your learning in the class, and I can log on to mine here in a second. And so once you log on to your class, you'll be able to directly message your instructor. It's being a little slow here, but there's an inbox that operates just like an email system, so you can get on there, ask your instructor a question, and it's the easiest way to get in contact with your instructor. Canvas is being a little slow this morning. Let me just ask right now, let me do one more question here from the chat. So with the kickoff being virtual this year, is there an opportunity for any souvenirs? So maybe, you know, I'm gonna ask our amazing promise director, is she still on? Julie Booth, are you still on? If not, someone else can. Anyone else who might know, student services folks, can you let us know what are the opportunities for students out there to get any of those souvenirs? You want some promise gear, you want your Meta Major t-shirt. How would they go about doing that this year? Student services, anyone out there?
Okay, so currently, while we're at the event here on campus, we are giving out gift bags, which include a lot of school supplies for the most part, just to get you started for your next year. We will have some remaining, more than likely, after today. So if students are on virtually and they're interested, they can just email. You could email just generally anybody at the college, but I'll put my email in the chat, and then we can save one for you or make sure that you can come and pick it up, but we won't be shipping anything out so far as souvenirs go. I mean, unless you really had a special request, I could probably send you a pennant or something just to put on your wall. But generally, you could have something saved for you to pick up in person sometime next week if that's what you wanted to do, and also come and get your student ID. Because that's another thing that we're doing here in person today and providing as an opportunity for students, so you can get those student discounts around town.
Excellent. Elizabeth Loudon directs our dual enrollment program. Anything related to the high school, Z is certainly the person to connect with to help with that important, you know, relationship we have with South Tahoe High School. Very important for us. Any current students online here who are just finishing up at South Tahoe High School? Want to raise your hand, say hello? Anyone out there who is excited maybe about leaving the high school behind and joining the college? Anyone out there who's... Here's another trivia question. Any current LTCC faculty or staff, are you former South Tahoe High students? Could you offer any words of advice for our students about how to navigate that transition from the high school to the college? Always a hard transition. It was hard for me. Anyone want to offer that little words of advice? Otherwise, just a warning, if it's too quiet, I have a list of jokes. We will do a joke segment today, but you may not want to hear those. So this could be an opportunity to avoid hearing my bad jokes and hearing about your experiences transitioning from South Tahoe High to the college, perhaps. Or any faculty out there. Trevor, go ahead.
Hey Scott. Hi everyone. I'm Trevor Thomas. I'm a business faculty member, and hi Sue. And I'm currently the director of distance education, but I always teach one online class for the business department. So if anybody's out there that's taking business courses, Business 102 this quarter is T. Thomas is me. So actually, it's been, I have to then click back my memory to years and years and years ago. Yes, I am a South Lake Tahoe native, born and raised. My parents have been here, were here since the 50s. I graduated from, I'm aging myself, 1986 from South Tahoe, went to Sac State, and again, we were all first generation college students. I did have a couple older sisters that helped a little bit, but if you are first generation, just the best advice is just to seek out someone at your institution, at the college. Go in, talk to somebody, make that connection, and everyone's super helpful. They're going to direct you to the right resources. And it's just really, it is scary, but, just going and, contacting somebody through Cranium Cafe right now with the online environment, all the student services are available. And so that's what I did. I was more of a person that just read the catalog and just followed exactly what it said. Made my way, actually came back to Tahoe, and I am a Ltcc graduate. Woo woo! Finance accounting. Returned, then finished my bachelor's at Sac State, and then got a secondary teaching credential, taught K-12 up here at South Tahoe High School back in 1995, and been at the college since 2000. So success story, I guess you would say. So, education will lead you to the path that hopefully you desire and are excited to do. So reach out to me, any business students or other students, if you're kind of in that same personal experience. I can share with you, maybe how to navigate your path.
Total success story. Round of
Yeah.
applause, huh? So much applause. Trevor, thank you for sharing that, certainly. It's nothing to laugh at, right? Like that transition when you, things are a lot different now. I know a lot of us, not me, but many online here have children entering college for the first time, and they're entering college under COVID conditions. And certainly today we can talk a little bit about just stress management and maybe how all of us are dealing with this. We're all in it together as a college, as a community. It's not like some of us are not following the rules. By the way, I see Austin's really cool mask on. Austin's our amazing campus technology leader. And someone asked, how do I get one of those sick masks? So Elizabeth, or anyone out there, do we have masks available?
Get on for my class.
Does anyone have masks at the college that students could get? Is there a way to do that? I don't know. Anyone know? I don't have any. I have my own, but they're not cool like the.
I know that from that picture that they were looking at, half of those are from our 2020 graduation. So I'm not sure that you can get your hands on those anymore. But the ones with the Coyote logo, I know they purchased a big stock of them. I'm not sure what's left, but we could definitely check on it and see if there's any way that students could get a hold of some of those.
Okay, very cool. So yeah, again, get in touch. We'll see what we can possibly get hold of there. I'm just letting some people in, and we're doing a little, let's see here. So we'll do a little update. I just see joining us, we have a couple of our esteemed administrators, Dr. Michelle Risden, Brad Deeds, our Dean and Vice President. Would either of you like to give a little welcome to our students here at Coyote Kickoff and say hello and tell us your thoughts on things?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Michelle Risden. I'm the Vice President of Instruction, but I was an English teacher at Ltcc for about 15 years before I moved into administration. And so as Scott said just a minute ago, boy, these are strange times. We all are doing the best that we can, and I know the students are as well, and your faculty are supportive. We just had a meeting this morning with some of our hybrid course instructors. We are going to have a couple courses that require a face-to-face component. And so we do have some orientations. If you're in one of those classes, you should have received an email for completing an orientation about that. And just what I know from talking with the faculty and everybody on campus is that we're here to support you. If you have any questions, any problems, anything that you just don't understand, please reach out to the instruction office. You can reach out to me personally. You can reach out to your instructors and your deans. And we really just want to support you in whatever way, whether you're a new student, a returning student, part-time, full-time, online, EVE, hybrid, any of those different components. We're just resources for you. My son just graduated from South Tahoe High School last year and is going to college this year, and I'm watching him online, and it's definitely tricky. And so it can be confusing. If there are any problems, please reach out, and we are available to you. That would be my main message, is use the resources, because we're all really trying to be supportive. We're really happy you're here too. So thank you for today.
Thanks, Michelle. And anytime, I know, I would say, in normal times, you could drop in the instruction office and talk to Michelle or any of the other administrators. They're not, they're very accessible. They're not like, I don't want to say typical administrators, but you might have experiences. I remember one of my deans, as an undergraduate, and they were kind of, afraid to approach them. But our administrators, just like our faculty and staff, very approachable. You're not going to find a lot of hierarchy at the college, where at times, I don't know, would some of you say we're a little too relaxed? I don't know. Sometimes people say that we're a really relaxed college. So I think it's a good thing. I don't know what the rest of you think, but let's see, I'm looking here. It's Tahoe. Exactly. So yeah, so we're kind of part of that Tahoe spirit, even virtually. If you're checking the weather today, we're still seeing a little bit of looks like smoke, overcast. By the way, speaking of the weather, some of you may be familiar with the great director David Lynch. Any of you have? You could put in the chat right now, favorite David Lynch movie. Great surrealist American filmmaker. So
good morning.
A while, David Lynch has been doing
September
this series.
9, 2020, and it's a Wednesday here in LA. Got the early morning fog again, but it looks to be clearing. Very still right now, around 65 degrees Fahrenheit, 18 Celsius. Today, I'm thinking about Janis Joplin and Big Brother and the Holding Company and their performance at the Monterey Pop Festival in 1967.
So kind of in tribute to David Lynch. If you haven't seen his series, you can go on. I know the weather's been crazy with the smoke and all. This segment is called What's the Weather Like Where You're At? So right now, anyone, if you want to unmute yourself wherever you're at, tell us what the weather is like, and anything else you want to offer. As far as a hello, it'd be a great way to introduce yourself as well. So what's the weather like where you're at? And again, the warning is, if you don't do that, I'm immediately shifting to the comedy segment, and I have some dandy existentialist jokes.
Little smoky down here in the valley. Little smoky.
Okay, all right, there we go.
Not too bad. When I drove Bryce to school this morning at 7, I said, "How come you're not getting a smoke day?" And he said, "I don't know," because they've had 2 down here already, but not today. Not too bad today.
Well, you can't see the mountains in the valley, so definite smoke.
What was really
my name's
cool?
Min Walker. I'm a math instructor here at the college. And I hope for you students out there that I'll be seeing you in one of my classes. I teach statistics almost every quarter. And so if you have any questions about math, which math classes to take, you can contact me at any time. I would be more than happy to chat with you.
When is it true that math classes are really hard, or is that an urban myth?
I think what makes them really hard is if you don't do your work. If you do your work and come to every single class, and just come to office hours, and when you don't understand something, ask a question right away, then it becomes a lot more manageable. It becomes hard, really, if you avoid it. But otherwise, it's doable, definitely.
It's a great tip. Students out there, we often say in our, both in our Promise program for our brand new students taking our Promise Student Experience class, which Mike Spina will be teaching this year. We often say, that the number one thing to do early on is introduce yourself to your instructors in your class, even if it's virtual like this. And then as Wynn is talking about, get help, ask for help. There aren't any stupid questions out there. So if you ever need help with your class, that's why we're here. You know, part of how we get paid, it says in our contract, is we hold office hours, at least 5 hours a week. So we have 5 hours of time to dedicate to all of you in addition to other time in class. So definitely reach out to your instructors this fall. What a great tip from Dr. Wynn Walker. I have
just remember, there is no such thing as a stupid question. It does not exist.
It does not exist. And I have to offer this, and I'll get to a question from Julie here. Dr. Risden says, our math faculty are fantastic, very supportive. We have amazing tutors too. Don't forget about the tutoring services. So at any time, you can go to the Ltcc library, get help with tutoring. We also have Cranium Cafe. Students, if you're on now today and you want to get on Cranium Cafe, check this out. Quite a few people online. So if you ever want to jump over today, get some advice, get some counseling help, talk to our director of Library Learning Services, Melanie Chu. The link to Cranium Cafe is here in the chat. But let me jump to Julie Booth. Julie, you have a question for the group from a student.
Hey guys, in this virtual space is an amazing Promise student, Brian Nunez. And we're wondering, he's taking anatomy and physiology this fall, Bio 203. And just wondering, is that you, Sue? Brian, that's your teacher. Can you see her, Brian, Sue Kloss?
No, I am not the instructor. It's Benaz Gangursky, who also is here.
Anatomy, physiology.
It's a fantastic course.
Awesome. So Benaz is your teacher. Sorry, I got excited. I saw happy hands, and I'm like, those are all your teachers. Brian, this is your teacher. We're wondering about the lab component and if there's a hybrid component.
Yes. Hi, guys. I'm Benaz. I teach anatomy and physiology. Hi, Brian. I look forward to see all my students. First, before I answer your question is, I know COVID-19 is a stressful situation just because getting online, doing everything online, and besides also anatomy and physiology, the name is so big, it's so stressful. But my job is to get to know you one-on-one, to make sure how do you like to study? Do you like to study, or is your learning way is using pictures, using questions? And I offer different types of study style for you to help you to learn AMP as in a very short time of the quarter. Yes, it's a hybrid class, but most of it is online. You can access to the class 24/7 hours. I record all my lectures, put them online. I also have, because in a face-to-face class, I usually draw on the board, and I do that. I take a picture of that. I call it whiteboard. I make a PowerPoint slides of my drawing, and while I'm teaching and using the book pictures, also I'm showing to students my own PowerPoint of drawing, because it makes it easier to understand, then students can draw by themselves. So there are there is actually one session students go to the lab, and that's the part they have to work with bones. But that would be optional. You don't have to come. It's up to you. Why you don't have to come? Because you are, one of the material for the course is for accessing to, is access code to Pearson Mastering Anatomy and Physiology. Once you get into that, you can see it's a very fantastic website. You can access to all the models. You can access to cadaver, human cadaver, or cat, or pig, or other animals. You can see dissected animals. You can look at the models, 3D shape of the models, pictures. It's a very fantastic one. I do understand you have to pay for this access code, but please keep in your mind that anatomy and physiology is 3 quarters. You will have class in the fall, winter, and spring. You pay just once for a whole year, and even this website won't be expired for, I believe it's 2 or 3 years. You can still use it even after the class. So if you are living, I had an email from students living in a different state, and they were worried about driving to the college, come to the lab. It's not mandatory, it's up to you, because I offer the options to do the master in A&P. And another thing is sometimes the students are worried that, hey, I didn't get into that section. Can I go on the waiting list? You don't have to do that. Just get into any section you want. Any section is available, because you are going access 24/7 hours on everything. So no worries about anything. If you have, if you see an open space, just get in, because most of the sections right now are full. I see students are on a waiting list. Get out of the waiting list, go to the class that is already open for you, and please register on that one. Thank you.
Binaz, thank you so much. Really great information there, just as far as getting connected for your biology A&P class. So we have another update here just received, and this is from Austin. If you're willing and able to stop by campus today, we're currently running the student ID station. You can also pick up your supplies bag at the same time. If you'd like to receive the supplies bag but stay virtual for today, email Shauna. The address is given here as noted by Elizabeth above. So, or you could also email ambassador@ltcc.edu. So if you're logging on now and you're wondering where I'm reading this from, this is in the chat. So at any time, you can click up here on Zoom on your controls and just show the chat. If you don't see that, that has all the pertinent emails and so forth. But again, after you log off today from the Coyote Kickoff, the virtual Coyote Kickoff, you can connect with any of us and we can direct you to that information. So great to hear that we're still able to offer some of those opportunities. So, you know, at this time, I think it's a good opportunity to this is, you might guess what this is, but every year we're so excited about our new LTCC employees. So I thought we would take an opportunity here to meet some of them, hear why they're excited to come to LTCC, maybe what they're going to be offering to our students. And you know, we like to say with our employees, when they're new, we watch them blossom. Isn't that, I don't know, is that too corny of a metaphor for today? But we do really feel like we're a family here at LTCC, supporting our students, supporting our staff and our faculty. So any new employees out there, tell us who you are, what you're doing, and why you're excited to come to LTCC.
So I can take this one.
All right.
I am Professor Amber Tierney. I am a new faculty member in the Department of Sociology. I'm really excited to be here. And for any new students that are listening right now, what's really cool about LTCC and the small community is there are so many people that are here to help. Being a new faculty member myself, I don't know all the answers that you probably have. And so the cool thing is we can figure it out together. So if I don't know the answer, I'll get the answer by consulting some of my colleagues, some of the people you see here on the screen, and other support staff and administrators at the campus. So just to echo what's already been said, there are no dumb questions at all, and we're all kind of figuring out how to navigate this terrain of college and campus and all of your new classes together. So reach out to the lifelines that exist, and your faculty being some of those that are always going to be available to you. So I'm really looking forward to getting to know all of you. You're going to help kind of acculturate me to the campus, and I hope that I can do the same for you.
Okay, big welcome to Dr. Amber Tierney. Congratulations. We're so excited to have you on board. Anyone else out there who wants to, any other new employees that we're missing? Anyone else? Do we have everybody?
My name's Ayla Turner. Unfortunately, my video is not working right now. I was working for LTCC back in December through June in physical services, and now I'm working in financial aid. So just to kind of repeat what Professor Tierney said, you know, I'm fairly new in this department, so if any students have any questions, I'm available at Creamy Cafe, and I would be happy to learn along with you. So thank you very much.
Great. Thanks, Naomi. Great to have your expertise. Financial aid students, if you have questions, please get in touch with financial aid and student services. I mean, it's complicated for sure. And they're always telling us as faculty, send your students to us because there are so many scholarships out there. We literally every year, I think we've gotten better in this, but we would so-called leave money on the table, money available to all of you students. If you watch the really wonderful State of the College address yesterday by President DeFranco, and if you missed that, you can watch it virtually, the video's up. He talked about a lot of these new initiatives, the new presidential scholarships. So there is money available. So get in touch with Naomi and the other staff and student services because definitely there is money to be had, and we definitely do want to get that to you, to all of our students. I'm going to get caught up here a little bit. Any other new employees before I do some Q&A, because there's some quite a few things to get caught up in the chat. So let me just get you caught up on some things. So Glenn is asking regarding the ID station, will it be available at another time? I know Austin offered a response on this. We live 69 miles away. We wouldn't be able to make it before 2 o'clock. So anyone out there, how could we help someone like Glenn who needs an ID, but they live far away? What's the best advice that you have? Student services folks.
I can't really speak for student services specifically, but I think, the college will work out additional ways to grab a student ID if needed. You can always email the One Stop with questions about that as well. And then also just note, if you don't live in the basin, you don't particularly need the student ID. Completely understand if you still want one. But if you are in the basin or you plan to be in Tahoe, it'll get you free bus access around town, and that's the main perk of having the student ID. You won't need it to register for classes or to do anything on campus specifically.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Austin. Really appreciate just the wealth of experience we have logged on today, because I have no idea. I mean, and that's the thing about a college. We're a small college, but still really complex in terms of all the stuff out there, from financial aid to the library to tutoring to all the important stuff we do in student services and the Promise program. So thank you, Austin, for answering that. Another question here. There was a question by Jamie about work experience, and I believe Dean Brad Deeds answered this. Reach out to Amber. Her email address is given here. Brad, anything else on that you wanted to say, or is that the best thing? Amber's our work experience coordinator.
No, I think you're all set. Just and he's already James already let me know. Okay. Just CC me on that, and I'll follow up and make sure that we get it sorted for you.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Awesome. Great. Thank you. Thank you, Brad. Brad's our wonderful Dean of Workforce Development and Instruction. You have like the longest, that would have been a good video segment. Who has the longest title on campus? Is that you, Brad? Do you have the longest title?
It doesn't fit very well in a Zoom window.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, I just want to introduce myself. I'm the, as he said, Dean of Workforce Development and Instruction, which basically means the career and technical education. So for those of you who are in any program from business to allied health, maybe EMT, wilderness, fire, computer information systems, kind of on and on, all those so-called career and technical education or career education programs, I'm responsible for those. I just typed in my email address on there. It's Deeds, like Mr. Deeds, deeds@ltcc.edu. Please always follow up with me. And, we're a small college family feel here, and I'll always help you out. So look forward to supporting you on the way. It's really cool to see individuals come in. Maybe they have a goal for, hey, I want to get my real estate license and move on and go straight into the workforce. Nothing makes us happier. So I'm here to assist.
Awesome. Thank you, Brad. Thank you so much. And Brad is another one of those just super, if you see him in the hallway, and I hope when we're open soon, when we have a COVID vaccine, Brad will just greet you, and just so friendly and easygoing, and just super interesting to talk to. And yeah, thank you, Brad, for everything you do for the college. Vanda, a student ambassador, if you have any questions, please email, one word, it's just ambassador, ambassador at ltcc.edu. So, and I'll just go through some of these questions here. So thank you, Brad, for that information. So anything on work experience, be happy to get that information for you. A question here, signing up for clubs. And if Shauna is on, she's our Director of Student Life. If not, I may lean on Julie Booth because she's so amazing. She's done multiple jobs in her years at the campus. I will tell you real quick here, and then someone can jump on. If you type in the word club in our website, it'll take you right to our student club. So Shauna, if you're on, if not, Julie, do you want to give your advice about how to sign up for clubs? Let's see, I'm scrolling through. We have so many people. I don't know if Julie is available. What about Austin? You might be able to. Do you know offhand? You've done so much with student clubs.
Yeah, I'm posting a message right now in the chat, but just to kind of follow up with that, as Scott said, you can find our clubs on the LTCC website, but I also recommend that all students download the Coyote Corner app if you haven't. It is a free app. It's a pretty small download. There's a campus wall on there where you can post updates or view updates from students, staff, faculty, etc. There's a housing section if you have questions about student housing or you're looking for a roommate. And then you can view all of our clubs on there as well. And you can interact directly with people through the app with club advisors and club members and other students. So that's probably the best way is through the app or through the website and then reaching out to a club advisor.
Awesome, thank you. And is Dr. Dirk, you're heavily involved in our Student Senate. Do you want to jump in and add to what Austin was saying at all?
Sure, people are more than welcome to send me an email. We are going to be having a second election. We had an election in the spring quarter, and we're going to have another one this month for anyone who is interested in any of the slots that are still wide open, such as president and vice president and parliamentarian and so forth. So if people are interested, they can email me, and I will put my email address in the chat. You don't have to run for an officer position if you don't want to. You're more than welcome to attend our meetings. And we meet twice a month on Tuesdays at noon, which is an hour that everyone has free. So if people are interested, they're more than welcome to do that. If you like to just start as come into meetings and then maybe become a senator, and then maybe at some point down the road in your second year with us, run for an officer position, that's an option that's available. Whatever people are comfortable with. We just would like folks to get involved because we get, the deal with Student Senate is you get to help make decisions about policies at the college and participate in the conversations. And then you have more of an understanding as to the internal workings, because we have like a shared governance model where some policies have to come through us and we have to talk about them as as a group of student leaders. So as co-advisor along with Danny Maslones, you're more than welcome to join, and I will put my email in the chat right now if you are interested.
Thank you, Dr. Dirk. And since he is on here, it's a great opportunity to jump into our little segment here. You know, we have a lot of esteemed social science colleagues on here, and we've been known to give the occasional analysis of issues. So this is Hope or Pessimism with Dr. J.D. Dirk. So how this works is any of you in the audience right now will ask a question, give us a topic, some topic, and then Dr. Dirk will give us his advice on whether we should be hopeful or optimistic about that topic. So who has a topic out there to hear our segment, Hope or Pessimism with Dr. Dirk? And again, the warning is, if you don't have a topic, then I will, by all means. That would make existentialist. Where's the topic?
Climate change.
Climate change, okay. JD, should we be hopeful or pessimistic about climate change?
Okay. It's a complicated issue that we could probably go on for hours about, but we don't have hours. I will offer you
we
this.
Actually do have hours.
Well, I was trying to make it less like a game show. I guess what I'm trying to say here is my response to that would be, I think that there is hope, but it's really contingent upon the number of changes that people are willing to make in their lifestyle. I really think that's what's going to come down to. The issue is getting an awful lot of attention, but what I also know about many issues that are political in nature is that there's a concept up and down with the issue attention cycle, and the issues can receive an awful lot of attention from us, but then when we realize how complicated they are, they have a tendency to drift out of our mind because it would require us to make changes to our lifestyle. Some people are more willing to make changes than others. And I think that the attention is good. We know more about it now than we did 5, 10, or 25 years ago. And we certainly have ways that we could go about addressing it, buying more fuel efficient cars, changing our diet, for example, and other ways. But it really depends on the amount of changes people are willing to make. And this also is tied to industry and the development of technology, because I really think that's a major component of this. So it's encouraging. Like I see commercials, for example, Amazon is now doing, and they're doing pretty heavy advertising, that they're now using vehicles that are electric, which is positive to me. But it's going to require a lot more than that. So the question is, what do we do? Where do we go from here? I think that there's more knowledge. I mean, I was looking at survey data on this recently. There's more knowledge and more concern about it. We see that people are changing their lifestyle, but it's going to require far more than where we're at this moment. And it really just begs the question as to where we go from here. So that is my short answer to a very complicated problem. And I will offer you this. I'm a political scientist, trained political scientist. I'm not trained in climate science, but I do pay attention to attitudes and public opinion about this issue and how companies and people are making changes to address it. So that's my short answer.
Wow. Definitely great answers. So, and by the way, if you're enjoying any of these segments and you want to, you can always put in chat. Let's do another one of that segment. So great response. And I think you're also seeing here, you're getting a sense of how the faculty, many of our faculty approach classes. So if you come to a class, of course, we know that you have different perspectives and opinions and politics and religious views and philosophies. And I think one of the things you'll find as a student at the college, if you take any of our classes, you'll get a range of perspectives. And that's one of the most exciting things about our online classes is even though we're doing it virtually, we can all participate and share in conversations, as Walter asked JD, about climate change. And I think you'll find that our faculty are really open to just sharing different perspectives and hearing your different perspectives, and offering you a safe atmosphere, climate to really talk about some of these hot issues. So thank you, Dr. Dirk, for
Scott,
your
could I tack on to
please do
JD's answer?
Yes.
So since the political scientist got asked about the environmental science question, the scientist will throw politics on it as well. The climate change is going to continue basically for the next 100 years. If we've totally ceased all carbon emissions right now, the Earth's still going to keep getting warmer for about 100 years, which means that we need to not just address the scientific side of it, but we also need to deal with and be accepting of new solutions for things like climate refugees as sea levels rise, being able to help people relocate out of flood zones that are going to be underwater in the next 50 years. So it goes beyond just advocating for and voting for solutions that are environmentally centered, and also in terms of helping a lot of the sociological impacts of climate change as well. But then again, I don't get to talk about any of this in my class because I try to keep my class just about the science. So I thought I'd just seize the opportunity to tag along to JD's answer.
That's awesome. So Sean, you're saying this smoke that we're seeing here live, that could be, am I responsible for that? I thought I just could live my life however I want. And you mean I'm responsible for climate change?
No single drop thinks it's responsible for the flood.
Okay. So
may I also add something else in there,
yes.
Scott, please? This summer I've been working on, and I'm editing an anthology on environmental philosophy, politics, and policy, which I also have a chapter in, and Dr. Lucas, our host, has a chapter in this book as well. And there's one of the authors has contributed to it. Her name is Amelia Barreto. She teaches in Texas. and was one of my colleagues. She contributed a chapter, and she's done a statistical analysis. Countries that adopt policies that regulate are more stringent in the regulation of carbon emissions and so forth, that does cut the greenhouse gases. And so, to me, at least from her research, there is evidence that when countries adopt more stringent policies, we do limit what we're putting in the air. And so we are contributing to this, and I think we have a responsibility to think about that. So there you go.
Really good points. I'm thinking we need to offer a little, it'd be great to do like a environmental studies class, and we can have a social scientist and a natural scientist. I mean, to see that interplay, your different perspectives and how they kind of all relate to one another here in the end.
Learning community.
Learning community, yeah. Some of those alternative models, the college is really good about thinking about different approaches. This whole EVE thing we launched, was part of, it was the faculty, the staff, the administration coming together and saying, how can we solve some things together? And I think you'll find that there's just so much, our students out there, so much innovation happening in terms of not just these conversations in a classroom where you might talk about environmental issues, but how we teach some of these topics in terms of just getting you to think about different sides of a particular issue. So really good. Thank you both, Sean and JD, for that. I'm going to jump to the chat here and let's just answer some questions. I know we've gone a while, so I'll just scroll through these. And again, anyone else jump on board. So again, for the student club questions, you can reach out to an ambassador. You can also go to the website, type in club, and once you do that, this will pop up. This has the current clubs. Austin posted the list here as well, and he's also involved in the Circle K International Club. So more information, his email is provided here in the chat. Really great. The clubs are so diverse, and as JD said, from the Student Senate perspective, it's your opportunity to have a voice and get involved. The climate change stuff going on here with deforestation and forest fires and COVID, many people are saying, has connections to climate change and diet, as JD was talking about before. So it's your opportunity to get involved and to not just have a voice, but have a stronger voice, because of shared governance. So if you get involved in student clubs and advocate for your interests, your political rights, if you get involved in Student Senate, you have an opportunity to shape the future. It's not a cliche, it's actually true. And these are the times where we definitely need all of your voices, and particularly new voices of students out there. So that's the information about signing up for clubs. There were a couple of questions about the mug club. So let me just wait, let someone in. If you go to the Ltcc website, click on the main, just click on the main page and click on the State of the College. This was addressed yesterday by President DeFranco. If you click on this progress update, or is it the other one? Or is it the Vision for Success? Michelle, you just posted it. It's this one, right? Yeah, Vision for Success. There's a little Easter egg. So scroll through this. It's in the chat. And when you find the Easter egg, you can find out about how to get your mug.
Scott, it's in the other one. It's in
it's not this one.
The progress report.
Oh, the progress. It is the progress. First one. It's in this one.
But you have to read about the progress of the college and of the students in order to find the little Easter egg.
Okay, yeah, scroll through, you might, I don't know, might be able to find it. Yeah, so cool. And that would be the Mug Club. The Jelly Club, I have no idea. What is this Jelly Club? Is it a cult? Is it a secret society? Someone tell us, what's the Jelly Club?
The Jelly of the Month Club was from last year for all of those folks who stayed and working to the very last day of the year. They became part of the Jelly of the Month Club. And the Mug Club is the new version of the Jelly Club.
Okay, good. So no more jelly, but JD is always warning me about joining cults. So are we assured that the Mug Club, it's not a cult, right? It's a very respectful group. I don't know what we're going to be doing, but we're going to, well, I think the president mentioned yesterday, a lot of us in our Zooms, we have our very generic mugs. So this way we'll have a nice Coyote Spirit mug. So So kind of exciting. Let me mention, thank you, Dr. Risen. In addition here, Dr. Lear Green, do you want to say hello? Do you want to talk about the math club? You have a mission. It doesn't involve jelly or coffee. What is the math club and what is its mission? Dr. Green.
All about giving back to the community. Just being a college student, you have some math ability, and there are a lot of children out there who need help. So what we do is we open up and we work with anybody in K-12 who needs some help with their math, and to make sure that they can succeed, and then maybe even eventually get to Ltcc and bring it back and help the new children. So that's the math club. Again, you don't have to be an expert in math. You have to be a student. That's pretty much the only requirement to be in the math club. And I'm working right now with the district to see if we can figure out how to make this all happen online so that we can help children online and work with people in the math club. We also have a Pi Day, which is March 14th at 1:59, because it's 3.14159, about 26 seconds or so. And hopefully maybe in March we'll be back and we'll be able to do a big festival on Pi Day. So that's the math club. It's a great club, and my feeling is there's nothing better than giving back. If you have something that you can do to help other people, we should do that.
Great opportunity. I think what's cool about that, as Larry's saying here, you have an opportunity in any major, whatever subject you're studying, to do advocacy, to help others. Boy, if we ever needed math and science, oh man, right? Like, you think we need math or science in these times? I don't know. Yeah, probably. So excellent. Well, thank you. And let's open up, because I know Julie Ewing. Oh yeah.
Let me weigh in on that really fast, Scott.
Yeah, Elizabeth, go ahead.
One thing that I wanted everyone to know, students who might be interested in employment, we are really working hard to make it possible for students to tutor both K-12 and their peers in college and make money. And so we've applied for a handful of grants, and we're working to build out a program where you can get work experience credit as well as a paycheck for being of service to the community. So there will be more to come about that, and we'll start actually recruiting tutors in all kinds of subjects. It's like a tutor mentor program, so it's much more broad than just academic support, help, and coaching. But that's very exciting for us, because it's a way for us to bond with our community and provide a much needed support that people in the virtual environment are not getting from the district. So we can step in.
Awesome. Such important work. Thank you so much. Let's continue just on all the student clubs. I know there have been a lot of questions popping up. So other club advisors or people who want to do a shout out for their club, do you want to speak up right now? I thought Julie Ewing was on here.
Yeah, I'll say something. Hi, I'm Julie Ewing. I teach English here at LTCC, and I am the advisor for the Storytellers Guild Club, which is, it was the brainchild of Chase Kalick, a recent graduate who, is he on here? Has anybody seen him on here today?
Not yet.
He came up, he created this club. He's an amazing student, and I believe he's staying on another year before transferring, and wants to continue taking courses and running the club. He's our head storyteller, and it's just a wonderful club. If you're creative, if you want to write, you've always had that itch to write poetry or fiction or creative nonfiction, and you want to play around with, getting some help, getting some feedback from other like-minded people. We hold weekly club meetings. Some of them we hold writing workshops where people come in, they share their writing, and we give encouragement and suggestions. And other times we get to look at, Chase brings in interesting videos from published writers talking about their craft. And so it's really, really a wonderful, wonderful club. And so if you're at all interested, please contact me. I put my email in the chat, and we'll get you signed up, because it's a very fun club.
That's great. Thanks, Julie. And in fact, storytelling, you begin to see how a lot of these clubs and academic interests, you know, connect to one another. I mean, just going back to environmentalism, they're talking about the importance of math and science. A lot of people trying to get the word out about climate change or about what's happening to our forests and the human impact on our environment and our diet. You know, part of that is the scientific stuff and the policy stuff, as our social scientists would talk about, the math and the science stuff that our faculty on board today are talking about. But then we need people to communicate this to the public. In today's day and age, for better or for worse, we know a lot of the storytelling going on can send people in the wrong directions, right? So certainly becoming a storyteller and learning, we have at least two, maybe more English faculty, former English faculty on board here. They could tell you about the importance of storytelling in culture and how, again, learning to express your voice and learning to tell a compelling story, maybe about climate change or diet or the environment, is really maybe more than half the battle, because we need the data, but then we also have to be able to translate that to an audience who maybe doesn't have, you know, a PhD in mathematics from UCLA or something like this, right? You have to have the ability to tell people what it is that you're concerned about. So storytelling is so important. And I say this living with a poet and a storyteller. So, I mean, believe me, it is really, really significant in these times. I want to give Brad Deeds, our dean, an opportunity if you're still on. We've got a question here about work experience and internships. You want to offer how students could get involved?
Yeah, thanks. I had a follow-up question from somebody asking, actually, how do work experience and internships work at Ltcc? Right. And I'm happy to share a little bit. You'll see, and I'll share a couple of links where you can get more information, but work experience, you'll see that we'll have that as a requirement of certain certificates and degrees, including our new environmental science and technology certificate, as well as wilderness education. Counseling addiction studies has a required practicum before you can complete and go on and move on into the field. Early childhood education also has a practicum. And then we also have specific courses in areas like business. You can get business work experience, forestry, as well as kind of a general work experience. And if there's anybody on the call here who's interested in the culinary profession, we also have not only some work experience you can do on that, but a registered apprenticeship. It's really cool. And one of the, we used to call this in Nevada, a probability. One of the probabilities of this COVID shutdown, virtual education, is we're moving forward with culinary, being able to cover some of your lab time on the job, which is pretty cool. You'll have a supervising chef who's through the American Culinary Federation, and they can sign off on some of your tasks while you're at work. So we have 3 local workplaces that are already signed on, and a couple more who are about to sign on. We can actually get your lab time signed off on the job, which is pretty cool. I'll go ahead and drop in some links into the chat on work experience. But basically, typically it's 50 hours of paid work experience that's actually verified equals 1 unit of work experience. You can get up to 6 units of work experience in an academic quarter, up to 24 total. And sorry, I don't know if I'm cutting out or if somebody else is. In order to get signed up, we actually have 2 sections. There are 12-week, quarter-long work experience classes, and we have late start, 6-week courses. So you can jump in there. And the last thing that I'll share is there's actually some really cool stuff that we do with that, which are called 21st century skills training. And basically they go by many names: soft skills, transferable skills, employability skills, but you complete modules on adaptability, analysis and solution mindset, collaboration, digital fluency, empathy, resilience, self-awareness, social and diversity awareness, all the types of things that employers continually come to me and say, hey, listen, I can train folks on the job as long as they have those AKA soft skills. They will, we can train them up on everything else. So it's really cool. So in addition to getting course credits, college credit for your job, you're also building your soft skills, and you can take these. You actually receive what are called digital badges. California has adopted the 21st century skills. And this will hopefully help you get a leg up, a competitive job market if you put those on your web, or I'm sorry, on your resume. The last link that I just put into the chat is how to set up an appointment with Amber Work-Based Learning and our work experience. She uses Calendly. So just go ahead and click on there, and she'll be able to do 15-minute check-ins, your orientation, mock interviews, and all that cool stuff. And then any questions from there, just reach out to me, deeds@ltcc.edu, or you'll see it earlier in the chat up there is Ann Galagoski. It's galagoski@ltcc.edu. So look forward to serving you. This is a really cool program. And oh, and the last thing, these are transferable elective credits. So you can actually.
Thank you so much, Brad Deeds, Dean of Workforce Development and Instruction. Again, you may have the title of longest. You may have the longest title on campus, but what a great opportunity there. I think what you'll really see if you just go through our college catalog, there are so many just different, I don't know, Elizabeth, were you trying to say something or wasn't sure? Let me let someone else in here. But just so many opportunities out there, whether you want to take a math class, an English class, a poli-sci sociology class, take a class in culinary arts, take a class in digital media. I've been working with Solange this summer, who's doing this amazing class in digital media. So when you go through our catalog, you see we have just so many opportunities out there to learn from industry professionals. You can learn a new skill. You can get a certificate. Again, going back to our Guided Pathways programs, we're really revamping how we're thinking about a lot of just the areas that you're probably interested in terms of getting some new skills. Or fire science right now, I mean, what an important career, always an important career, but even now as we're seeing what's going on in our world in terms of the fires, just super, super important. Okay, yeah, let me see. I'm just going to see here if there's some extraneous sound coming up. Let me just do a quick check here. Okay. I was trying to do that, but okay. So, so is it just me, or is this, am I just a big nerd, or is this kind of fun? Do you like this? I mean, we're virtual, but it's not dull, or at least I don't think it's dull. I don't know what the rest of you think, but any thoughts on that? You know, is this opportunity for hope in terms of doing more virtual stuff? Because this is what we're mainly going to be doing in fall. Again, some of you might have your hybrid classes, but a lot of it will be virtual. So any thoughts on how you're adapting to doing more of this virtual stuff? I know it's more eye strain, but any thoughts up there about how you're making it work, or some of the challenges still with that? Someone just texted me, I am a total nerd. Thank you. I won't say who just texted me that, but I wear the badge proudly. But any thoughts on how you're making it work in your world? Being virtual, working virtually, taking classes virtually, teaching virtually.
Hey, Scott,
Yeah.
I have some questions again.
Oh, sure.
So,
Go for it.
shout out to Macy Perez. She's first year Promise student. Amazing young lady. She this term will be taking English 101, and let me see who she's taking it with. Section 5. Anyone in the house teaching section 5? No, not yet.
I'm not sure what my section is. Section 5 sounds familiar, but it might be that's my 103 section. I can go look, and I'll come back and let you know if it's me.
Okay, I also have Psychology 101, Section 1. Is that Tomalilo maybe? Not
Christina,
sure.
are you on?
I think that's Amber Heron.
Oh, okay. And then Spanish. Oh,
It is me. I think that is me.
hey, Macy, that's your teacher. She really exists. She's a real person. Look, there she is. She's adorable. She is one of the faves. She's in the psychology classes. She's awesome. So now you've actually seen her face, Macy.
So this is Michael again, and I am teaching section 5.
Oh my gosh, Macy, he is also the man, the myth, the legend. And then Spanish 101, section 2. Do we have any Spanish teachers in the house?
I think Sarah
No?
Paris said she's logging on a little bit later.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Macy, here's what you should know. She asked a question about Canvas, and a lot of students, I'm really excited about this year. I hope as faculty you're excited, that these students are excited. They are like, how come I can't find my shell? Where's my teacher? So you're not gonna see your shell yet unless the teacher has opened it early, but you should see these shells on Monday, and hopefully by now you've also seen your promise shell. I just made that live a couple of hours ago, thanks to the help of Trevor. Hola, Catalina.
Hey.
Hi, how you doing?
We are living the dream.
And Macy, this is Michael O'Loughlin, your English teacher. I think mine will open Sunday afternoon, but if you want to email me at any point that's convenient for you, I can open my personal meeting room in Zoom and send you the link, and we can chat one-on-one if you'd like.
So what's the name of the student, Julie?
Her name is Macy Perez.
Hi, Macy. My name is Catalina. I'm on the Spanish faculty at Ltcc with Sarah Pierce. We're super happy you're taking 101. Welcome to learn a new language. It's super exciting. You will learn a lot of new things, and it will give you more opportunities in the workforce in the future. So all the online classes will be open Monday morning. I don't have the schedule here, but you can email your instructor asking any questions. And also I'm gonna add my email in the chat if you wanna email me any questions so I can answer them with more detail. ¿Está bien? It's good?
Está bien, sí se puede.
Okay, fantástico. Gracias.
Thanks, Gata. Other, Julie, other student questions that you received, or?
This is Michael. I just wanted to say
Okay.
that I just put my email into the chat. So any students want to contact me, it's there.
We also have Chase Cunningham in the house. I don't know if anyone recognizes that last name, but Chase is an awesome second-year Promise student, and I am stalking his schedule right now. He's another overachiever, which is really exciting. So Chemistry 101, History 111, Speech, and English 103. I know a lot of you guys are here. Here's one question I am getting a lot of, and that is, how do I know if I have a hybrid class? And that's because the schedules for the students don't show hybrid. And so, you know, for those of you on campus on Monday, you might just see a bunch of students coming to school, because all their Eve classes do show a day, a time, and a room number, which can be a little confusing if you're brand new to LTCC, and also confusing for those returning. So I know we have some new people in the room. If it's possible to just kind of remind students again, how would they know if they have an Eve class? What's the best way to find that information out?
Sure. So we talked about it earlier, but good to certainly repeat it. So when you go to the schedule, you'll see indication of the types of classes that we offer. And let me just zoom in a little bit here. That's probably the max, but you'll see different icons. So if it's Eve, you'll see a little like screen picture. If it's hybrid, it'll have a mouse next to it. If it's DE, there's a different symbol. Sean Ryland, who teaches chemistry, mentioned earlier, one of the most important things to do if you're a student and you're taking a class, whatever, regardless of what it says in the schedule, if it's Eve, hybrid, DE, to really reach out to your instructor. And we say this because every instructor customizes their class for the students. Even if it says Eve, and if it says you meet here ASL Monday, Wednesday, 3:30 to 5:55, really reach out to Carla, because we are trying to be as flexible as we possibly can. So even though it says there's a time meeting, it's very likely your instructor will say to you, there's a way to make up that time. Behnaz mentioned in A&P in biology, she records the lectures, records the Zoom, so you can log on to your Canvas class. And Trevor Thomas is still in, so she could talk about all the Canvas dynamics, and she's our Director of Distance Education. So Julia, great question. Really advise you to look at the class and the schedule, and then immediately connect with your instructors. Certainly for the hybrid classes, any of you that may be on campus with physical distancing and PPEs and some modified labs, you really do want to reach out to your instructor, because those will be harder situations to work out, since we still are under the precautions of COVID. Does that help, Julie? Anything else you want to offer on that to our students or ambassadors out there want to help?
I think that is helpful. You know, just again, those of us on the front lines, I can't tell when I look at their schedules if they do have a hybrid component, just the way that it looks like on the back end for those of us using Colleague.
Oh, gotcha.
And so we can't tell, I can't tell which is which. And so we're definitely working as fast as we can to connect students with the teachers, and so that they can reach out. I think just maybe some olive branch of kindness and grace this first week. If they don't show up, they may not know. I know people are still moving schedules around, and I'm getting a lot of questions from students about just ensuring if they're ready for hybrid. And I think that's the big one, is just how do we know who has what?
Trevor here,
Yeah.
Julie. I don't know if we can get some better messaging also on, you know, just the website, on the Coyote app, is that students need to be checking their emails, because faculty are, their course may be published at this time, because the way that they're probably communicating with students is sending out a message, either an announcement in their class, which pushes a notification to the student's Ltcc email account, that, you know, is an announcement about the class, is, you know, trying to get them, you know, ready to go. I mean, I know, you know, Behnaz asked to, you know, she sent me a question about if I sent out an announcement in my class, you know, publishing it. So faculty are really working to try to get the messaging out. It's just sometimes I know that, you know, we all say that, you know, students don't check their email as much. I'm sure in this day and age, they're probably relying on that a lot more than they have in the past. But I think that getting that message out there that they really need to check their Ltcc email, because there are messages coming. I mean, I know that I've been sending, you know, messaging through that. And so it definitely gets pushed from their Canvas, the inbox feature, to their Ltcc email. Announcements in the course automatically get pushed out to that with their notifications. So there is stuff, you know, being pushed out. So just, you know, let the recipients be, you know, aware that it's there. Just maybe they haven't went to go look for it yet.
Well, my understanding also was there aren't that many hybrid classes. Aren't there only labs and some wilderness classes that are outdoors? Or I mean,
I think that's true. I mean, we could go through this schedule now. I think you're correct, though. It's not that many. It's a small number.
Yeah, and I think, Mark, like you said, like, I think people's confusion of like a hybrid course, yes, a hybrid courses are always set up where you had, it's a combination of online instruction and then face-to-face. The whole idea now of the eve, when, you know, that kind of idea is that, oh, I'm supposed to have a virtual meeting with my, you know, fellow class, you know, with my instructor, my classmates, you know, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10. But again, like Scott and, you know, people have mentioned, there's, you know, instructors are recording that time. They understand that you know, there's lots of things going on with, you know, students that actually being able to attend exactly at that time could be, you know, problematic. So they are recording them. So I think, like you said, hybrid is that idea that those students would have really been thinking that they had to go to campus, and some of them are requiring it, the EMT and that kind of thing. But
right.
But yeah, Eve is just like you said, that enhanced, just taking those traditional face-to-face times, you know, when it was all face-to-face, and bringing that so that you're having those meetings online.
Well, right. It's really just the difference between the synchronous and asynchronous.
Yes, yeah, that's really what it is.
Unless you're in one of those, what they're, I guess, calling hybrid, yet you're gonna be all online. It's just whether it's synchronous or asynchronous with each course that would be the issue, I would think.
Okay, good. So I was just checking. People are emailing me as we speak. I'm trying to let everybody in, check my email, check my text, talk about virtual challenges. So I'll get to what people were emailing me in a second. But so it sounds like, again, maybe in not all of the campus information do we have immediate access to, which classes are which. Keep in mind also that classes change. If you go back to the schedule of classes, you can look at the, hold on one second, let me. Okay, sorry, the phone was ringing, had to mute that. As far as getting the most current information, you can check on the non-PDF version of this. That'll have the most current information. Dean Bissonette, you're on now, welcome. Anything you can offer to our students about how to find out the most current info about classes and whether it's hybrid and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, certainly. So hi, everybody, welcome. It's good to see all of your faces. Well, some of your faces and some of your names, but we're really looking forward to having you this term, and our instructors and staff. It's good to see you all. In terms of getting access to most up-to-date information, certainly I think, Scott, what you're going over in terms of accessing the schedule of classes online is a great place to go. But in particular, I do think it's important to note that especially with EVE and hybrid, I'm not sure if the message has been driven home yet today, but it's really important to reach out to your instructors individually if you haven't heard from them yet, to really get a sense of what the exact times and days that you'll be expected to either be present for a face-to-face component of your, either be present for a Zoom component of your EVE course, or be present on campus for a specific component of your hybrid lab course. So the times and dates you'll see in this schedule are not always the exact times and dates that you'll be expected to be in class. It'll be during that window, but it might be different dates and times than indicated. So I think just the best thing you can do is get in close communication with your instructor as soon as possible to really understand the requirements for your individual courses.
That's great. Thank you just so much for that. Again, I mean, we're the kind of campus where you can just reach out to people. There isn't a lot of, hierarchy there. People are willing to help you out. Again, as Wynn said earlier, no dumb questions, but do, as Trevor is stressing, really get in touch with your instructors. You can do that through Canvas. If you log onto your Canvas shell, there's an inbox that you'll see on the left-hand side. That's a great way to connect. We do worry about just students not having their emails correct. And just from a management standpoint, we're always constantly checking texts and emails. And I always tell my students personally, I like the Canvas inbox because the minute I log on, if I have a new message, it pops up and I can't miss that. Whereas a spam email, sometimes, we have to check our spam folder and try to find it and so forth. And I think Mark Williams is correct that we're not doing a ton of hybrid, but for those that are listed as hybrid in the schedule, you definitely want to reach out to your instructors and get all the current information.
And definitely want to make sure that if you are enrolled in a course that's listed as hybrid, that you're enrolled in one of our 3 orientations, one of which is taking place today at 2 p.m. And the other 2, which will be taking place next week. Those orientations are required for you to attend those hybrid components of your class. So we'll really want to see you there. And then, Scott, just to piggyback on what you said, it is so important to be checking your Ltcc email specifically and linking that up with a personal email if you prefer to only check one. But we are sending so much important information to students through your Ltcc email. So you really want to make sure that's where you're getting financial aid information, course information, just a lot of good stuff coming your way there.
Great.
Hey, Scott.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Trevor.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I just wanted to tag on real quick to the student email thing. Just so students know, you can log into your Passport and forward your student email to a personal email. That way it'll help you ensure that you're also receiving those, that they'll arrive in 2 places, but you don't have to remember to constantly check your school email specifically. And that's something an ambassador could help you out with.
That's great. Thanks, Austin. Trevor?
And then, I don't know, Allie, since the powers that be, maybe if you could ask, like, you know, like that messaging really starts to get out there. Like, you know, I know we have the social media stuff, Facebook, even include that little instructions on how to forward your email. But I think the messaging just really needs to get out there, like I said, really on the website. So I don't know if you can talk to, you know, the senior leadership team. Like, I mean, I just think that that's so important right now, that we are just really kind of almost bombarding people with the idea that, you know, to get the you know, the recent news, to get everything that you need to be knowing right now. I mean, check that email. It just can't, I don't think we can emphasize that enough right now, because that is the way that the college communicates. And so we should be really kind of throwing that out there wherever we can. So
yeah, maybe some prizes or games or awards. You know, check your email every day. Maybe you'll
I don't know. So
something cool.
And then how to, like you said, how to forward it. Like, you know, like Austin said, is that, you know, students, you know, it's not always easy to go and log on to different systems. So, but it's really easy just to push those messages to your Gmail account and that kind of thing. So anyway.
Definitely.
I just had one thing too, if it's possible, to include promise and equity on anything going out to hybrids, any kind of hybrid messaging, so we can back that up. I'm not quite sure where or what they should be doing right now. So anything you have that you can include us, so we can, you know, reinforce those messages and support you. And then prior to you popping in, we can't tell on the colleague screens who might have a hybrid course or not because of the way it looks. So anything you have where we can help and reach out and text students, we're here to help that communication. And yes, we're telling them, check your email constantly.
Perfect. Well, I'll make sure that that you guys all get the emails that have been going out to our students in hybrid courses, so that you have those as backup. And then just in terms of the best place to find that information about whether your class is EVE or hybrid, that's denoted in the PDF version of the schedule online. Mm-hmm. But you will notice, Julie, some of our classes have changed. So in an effort to really limit the number of students who are coming to campus and, you know, mitigate the risk of spread of COVID, we have actually limited the number of courses. So some courses that were listed as hybrid have been pulled back to EVE, and I don't know that those are reflected in the PDF yet. So again, best source of information is email your instructor, and obviously check your email, because we've let you know if you are in one of those hybrid courses.
Very good. Thank you all. Great advice. And let me answer Megan's question. So Megan has a question here. What if I have 2 classes and they're scheduled at the same time? So maybe 2 EVE classes. Same advice, contact your instructor. And we're saying this because even though a class will say EVE, like ASL, level 1, 3:30 to 5:55 Monday, Wednesday, we've really messaged to all instructors, we're doing in our lives, we're adapting, work schedules are adapting. It's not the same game anymore in terms of even our schedule. So what we're telling all our instructors and all our staff are doing this, administrators, we're being flexible. So what that means is if you are signed up for a Carla's class and it meets Monday, Wednesday, according to schedule EVE, 3:30 to 5:50, and you have another class, same thing, reach out to both those instructors. As Bainaz offered from A&P, many instructors are recording lectures. They will give you opportunities for makeup and so forth. So what the EVE designation means is certainly you're going to have more of the Zoom and maybe Labster, which is a virtual lab simulation, but it doesn't mean that you can't take necessarily classes that might be scheduled at the same time. So again, getting in touch with your instructors, sending an email, going to Canvas, the inbox is the #1 thing to do, because people definitely are adapting and being flexible. Does that help,
real
Julie?
quick on that one too, the system won't let you register for 2 EVEs. It kind of recognizes it. So I just took a look at your schedule real quick, Megan, and you're actually online for theater and you're online for your ECE class. It's your English course, but you do have that EVE component. So you'll just want to make sure that you're checking in on your work Each week, look at that syllabus. It's your roadmap. It tells you when your discussions are due, when your assignments are due each week, and you'll want to make sure that you follow that. But it looks like your English course is going to be, and I'll put it in a private note to you here, but it looks like you just have the one Eve and the rest are online, if that's helpful.
That's perfect. Thank you, Julie. I just want to say I've been getting emails, people saying, about doing breakouts and all that. That's going to be really confusing. So we're not going to do breakouts, but the deal is if you want, if you're faculty and staff and you want to do like a mini Zoom with someone, you could certainly jump off the Zoom call here. What I advise you to do is just in the Zoom chat, like if you say, hey, any English students or math students, join me in Zoom right now, you could log off this, once you get the Zoom link, you could log off this meeting, you could just click the new one that a faculty member or staff member gives you, and it'll take you to another Zoom meeting. I'd rather do that because I was in a workshop yesterday, I don't know if anyone else was, the USC, I think Kata was there, Michelle Risden, but the breakout rooms were pretty confusing. Some people just had their video off, and I didn't find it that easy to do the breakout rooms, but certainly interview online right now. You want to do one-on-one impromptu, you want to jump off this call, no problem. You could definitely do that. Let me answer a few more questions here. Oh, I just wanted to say, Dr. Dirk said emails, the professional mode of communication. There's great value in getting people to regularly check their email accounts. And that goes for all of us too. We're always doing it. Again, checking just to make sure nothing important is in our inbox. Bainaz, if there's any student who's on the waiting list for A&P, which is Bio 203, please get into any class that is open. You do not need to go to a specific class with a specific time. Bio 203 has 6 sections. You don't need to check the time of the class. You can access it 24/7. Go ahead, register to any open section. See, that's great right there. So right there, that's really different than what's in the schedule. So really, we got to just continue to say, email your instructors and get that information. That's great.
Scott,
let me just go ahead.
Could I add on to that a little bit?
Yeah, Sean.
That you might, just realized my video's off. Even if you're waitlisted for some classes, there are some classes where the cap limit on that course is there, at least in the sciences, for safety reasons when we were actually meeting to do physical labs. So for chemistry in particular, we have a cap of 24 students per section. That doesn't really need to be there anymore if we're doing it, and since we're doing it all virtually. So definitely, if you're waitlisted, get in touch with your instructor as well, if that's the section that you need to be in for your work schedule, and see if you can work something out, or if they prefer if you register for another section but show up to a second. Like there's flexibility with this EVE stuff. Just talk to your instructors personally. Let them know what your limitations are, and we're all willing to work with everybody to make sure we get as many people in the classes that they need as possible.
Can I add something, Scott?
Yes.
Thanks, Sean. Yes, that's very important. We have in BioLab has a capacity for each section. There are 28 students, but of course I cannot have 28 students same time in the lab. But I'm going to divide them to do 2 different groups. But I do understand there are some students, they have a problem getting into those classes that was matched to their times. So it's okay, I can work with them and talk to them and let them come to different class, different day. We offer the same lab 3 days a week, Mondays, Tuesday, Wednesdays, Thursdays. And I'm going to talk to students after I put them into different groups, and I will ask them which day is the best for you to come so that we can work it out together. Right now I have some students, for them it's a matter of just getting into the class. They email me and asking me, how can I get, I'm on the waiting list. I think they shouldn't wait for waiting list anymore. They can get in, and I'm going to work with them to be able to come to the lab they like to come. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Bainaz. Really good information. Again, just stay in touch with your instructors. Mark Williams also mentions it's important, just if you're teaching in a department, you're a part-time instructor out there, get in touch with your department chair. If there isn't one, talk to your dean, Brad or Allie, because there's a lot of stuff that changes and it affects us too, those of us teaching and working at the college. So really good advice there. There's a question that came up from Glenn.
Yeah, I can take that.
Allie, go ahead.
Yeah, so Glenn, thanks for reaching out. So some of you might have noticed we've had to cancel a few courses today. Those are just really for areas that are particularly low enrolled, or at times, you know, last minute things might have fallen through with an instructor. But, you know, we try really hard not to do that. And I'm so sorry that some of you have been impacted by some of our class cancellations. Glenn, in particular, I'm gonna put the email of one of our counselors in the chat, as well as my administrative assistant, who I believe sent out an email to your LTCC email guiding you to take a different art class. But I'd love for you to get in touch with a counselor as well, just to make sure that you can get enrolled in some other courses that are sure to run and that will help move you forward in whatever degree you're looking for. So I'm going to put those emails in the chat for you right now.
That's excellent. Thank you, Allie. Really, really good. Again, you kind of see that we want to solve it as quickly as you can. So if you have a situation like this that comes up, you can reach out to any of us. You could talk to an ambassador. We can make the schedule work. And as Behnaz was getting at, it really is important to talk to your instructors. And Sean mentioned this too. The class might have a cap, but because it's mostly virtual, that may no longer be in place if there isn't an in-person safety issue. And I'm just looking here. Beth mentions, Glenn, if you want to jump on to Cranium Cafe, we can talk to a counselor. So that would be great. So if you want to do that, it's in the link is given here. You just have to hit agree and you can then log on. So that is available right now in chat. Click on that. You'll jump off the Zoom. You'll jump on to Cranium Cafe and you'll get one-on-one advice from one of our great counseling faculty members or other staff member on campus. So hopefully that helps, Glenn. Let me see what else here. How do they enroll in work experience? Amber, are you on? Do you want to talk about work experience?
Yeah, I'm here. Hello.
Hey.
Let me change my view here real quick. I'm popping back and forth between this and Cranium Cafe. Work experience is for students that currently have jobs. They can earn units based on the number of hours they work, and they go through a series of our professional development assignments that help them become better employees. So they earn online digital badges that are transferable to their LinkedIn account and can be put on resumes. We help them with resumes and their LinkedIn account. We do some interview assignments that help them explore careers if they're not sure exactly what they want to do. And we also have some diversity modules that we've incorporated into our curriculum to help them just kind of analyze diversity in their workplace and in their field of study and become kind of better human beings.
Great. Excellent. And then you can also go to the website here. That would work too, right? Just to get in touch with you. And
yep.
And then you use this, is it Calend? How do you say that? Calendly?
Calendly.
Calendly. Can't say that. Okay.
Yep. And that I actually am working on updating as we speak. I'm going to update that to my Cranium Cafe link because I use that more than I do this Calendly link. Yeah. I had put that Calendly in there when we had gone online so that students could make appointments, but it's actually just easier for them to use one platform and to use Cranium Cafe.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Amber. Appreciate all that you do. And there's a message here, Glenn. You can always chat with a counselor. Now, again, click on craniumcafe.com. Any of you students logged on right now, if you want that immediate attention, you have a super specific issue, although it's good for us to hear these in the group as well, because you know a lot of these issues often come up for many of our students. But you can definitely log on to Cranium Cafe to get that information. Anyone else out there right now want to mention their program specifically, some concerns you have or things to let your students know about for fall, like this email stuff we've been talking about or the Canvas inbox? Anyone out there want to give any updates about your program or departments? It's a little, I think we're getting it might be time here. I think it's time. Some of you might be dreading this, but it may be time for another Ltcc moment in comedy. So, does anyone out there have a joke you'd like to tell? Just to break the ice here a little
I've got
bit.
one.
Go ahead.
So the other day, I changed all my passwords to Kenny. So now all I have are Kenny logins.
All right.
Rim shot.
Okay.
I misunderstood.
Yes.
I thought we were supposed to tell jokes.
Oh yeah, Kurt. You know, you're active. I think you're on the spot.
Yeah, I knew I shouldn't open my mouth without having something prepared, and I don't.
I've got one, Scott.
Go ahead.
Why is music like crossing the road? And I'll give a hint. It has nothing to do with a chicken.
Anyone out there?
It's like cricket, cricket. If you do not see sharp, you will be flat.
I got one.
Sue, go ahead.
How do you tell the sex of chromosomes? You pull down their genes.
I was going to tell a chemistry joke, but all the good ones are gone.
Okay, I have an existentialist joke. Are you ready? How many existentialists does it take to change a light bulb?
No idea.
2. 1 to change it and 1 to change it and to bemoan about the darkness. I told you don't want me telling jokes. All right, here's one in the chat. Where do you find a dog with no legs? Right where you left it. So, hey,
Scott, how many Pranos do you think it takes to change a light bulb?
Are they kind of set up over there?
I don't know.
I don't know. I've mostly been inside.
Well, it takes 10, 1 to actually do it, and then the other 9 to go, "Oh, I could have done that better."
Okay. All right,
Okay,
so
since you brought up the dog with no legs, what do you call a dog with no legs? Doesn't matter, he won't come.
Oh boy. I don't know why, but it looks like, what, did we just lose 10 people logged off? I'm not sure why.
I think
I
it's
have no idea.
degenerating quickly.
I need to like follow up on the dog with no legs thing. Did you hear
Okay.
about the dog with no legs though? His owner took him out for a drag every night.
All right, I'm checking my email. Oh, someone sent me a good text one. I'm not reading it though. It's not clean enough for this crowd, right? This is a pretty clean crowd, wouldn't you say, overall? I mean, it's straight lace, clean. I don't know.
I tried to put one in the chat, a meme, but I couldn't. Can you put images in the chat or no?
Yeah, you can attach a file.
Scott, I think this is a group being clean, not the same thing.
Okay. Okay, there you go. Clear distinction. For the social science faculty out there, we would say being clean is a cultural construct, right? And a subjective definition. So, so what other students out there, what other questions are coming up about fall classes, about campus services? We have so many people logged on right now. We haven't talked about, what's that little program called, Julie? Promise? We want to talk about Promise?
What?
Do we want to talk about Promise?
You know, my favorite song now. You ready?
Yeah.
You made me promises, promises. That's how I feel constantly. Promise is only the best program on campus besides equity. We are educational access barrier remover people. Here's the deal, Promise. If your first time in college, you've never taken college classes before, and you're a California resident or you live around the Lake Tahoe Basin, you are eligible. Right now, we're trending at about 90 students in the fall 2020 cohort. I am frantically trying to get more students organized and coded. We have about 15 or 20 other students who were trying to finalize their contracts. And it's an amazing opportunity. We help, it's basically, if you could think about it like a full scholarship, a full ride for 2 to 3 years. You get your free tuition, we take care of your books, you get early registration, we have early graduation incentives, you get a peer mentor, you get your own counselor. You don't have to try to select whoever's available. We have one designated just for you. We have your own financial aid guru, the most amazing Medica Ramirez, who's been on campus a long time and who's an expert. We're very blessed to have her. And so it's just an amazing opportunity for students to really get your degree. It's for students who are looking for a degree. And for those of you faculty in the room, we are kind of organizing progress reports a little bit differently because of COVID. We are creating a 2-tier early alert kind of situation right now. And we're going to start asking for progress reports week 4. So don't be surprised if a student reaches out to you. What's lovely is that they can also take a screenshot of all of their shells and Canvas, so I can just do a quick look at their percentages and their grades. So no pressure, but if we could keep up the best we can on grading, that would really help them out to know if they're falling behind. And then for those students who are starting to fall behind already in week 4, we're going to put a lot of resource and time and effort into connecting them with tutoring, support, and hopefully by week 6, when we do another check, we can quickly make some changes to their schedule if need be before the last day to drop or make changes. So for any faculty who are watching or listening, if there's anything that Promise can do for any of your students, whether they're Promise or not, please let me know, let counseling know. We have a really incredible group of 2020 students. I've pretty much talked to almost every single one and had a conversation with them and their family. They're very excited about starting their education this year. They're really nervous about being online, and you know, so are we. We're all, this is our new normal. We're going to do this together, and then we also have about 90 students returning from the fall 2019 cohort. And so I'm really proud of them for their determination and their hard work. These are second-year students, and I think they're more nervous about COVID than our incoming freshmen because of this quick change. So how do you know if you have a Promise student? That's a good question. I wish I could tattoo it on their foreheads, but I can't. I was told I'm not allowed. So I will be looking at your rosters and identifying the classes that they're in. I'll be reaching out to those that have blocked courses. Obviously, Mike Spina has about 75 Promise students right now in the first year experience class. And I have some really amazing reports that help me identify where the majority of these students are. So we're really excited to work with you guys, and you know, it's never too early for an early alert. So, you know, students, if you're struggling week 1, let us know. The next available counseling meeting is the day. You know what, Glenn? As soon as I'm done doing my selfless promotion on Promise, I'm going to look up your schedule and see how we can help you today. But if you have any students who are struggling week 1, week 2, email counseling at ltcc.edu. and do your early alert. And students, if you're struggling, let us know. We want to help you, and we don't always know what your barrier is. Everyone is going to have something that they're dealing with a little bit different. And that's Promise. It's an amazing opportunity to leave here with a degree debt-free is basically the gist of it.
That's great. Thank you, Julie, for everything you do for our Promise students. Couple notes in chat. Amber said she asked students about the programs they're involved in, including Promise, and a beginning of quarter questionnaire. But again, like with all things, you can communicate with your instructors if you have questions about Promise or which classes to take. We do designate some classes as Promise specific just because we like this whole cohort model. Some of you may remember about, oh, it's been a while now. I mean, I'm trying, you know, September 9th, it's like almost a year ago. It is a year ago. What is it? It's September 11th, over a year ago. So this was some of the highlights from the event, and it was really cool. Again, this was all pre-COVID, and Julie and her team, you know, they just got so much just together so quickly, everything from the t-shirts, the signage on campus. Again, this was all prior to COVID, right? So we're trying to do some of these things. Here's a welcome from President DeFranco. We had so many students there. The ambassadors are there. We're there, peer navigators. And it's really a model where we try to put a safety net for all of you, for all of these students, to make sure that you don't fall off track, to make sure that you're getting all the classes that you need. And we even did a cool team building activity. Students participated in this. And again, you see this is all pre-COVID-19. So we really are excited with the opportunity that once we're back on campus after a vaccine happens or whatever, that we can do some of this again. And I think having been involved in the program, teaching the Promise class, I have to say just the students were so great, and they were just willing to really just think outside the box like the rest of us, figure out this new model of doing a cohort approach to education, connecting what we do in the classroom more to the student services side of the house, team building activities, all this kind of stuff. So any faculty out there that you teach in the Promise program and you have taught or will be teaching, and any advice you have for Promise students going into next year?
I had Promise section of 101 last fall, and I really couldn't see any difference in it. The students were engaged, and most were successful, and by most I mean pretty much the standard success I have with any class. And I delivered it the same way, and so my experience with it was great.
That's excellent to hear. We're also doing, Julie, we're still doing the embedded tutoring, right? That's still happening, I think, with Promise?
Yes, so for those who are in English 101, there are specific sections where they have a support class. And one of the biggest questions I had from students this summer were feeling overwhelmed for taking 2 English classes. And so, you know, I'm just kind of reminding them it's not 2 English classes. Of course, for all the English faculty in the room, set me straight now, because this is what I've been saying. But it's to enhance English 101 and to make sure that you have the support you need to really nail it and feel good about your grade in English 101 and provide support. And so we do have those embedded tutoring classes, and I'm also looking into creating some additional tutoring support, especially in statistics. I think that's one of the biggest fears that students have right now, learning online, is just, you know, statistics and math. A lot of these students, especially in higher level math and science and other courses, are really concerned about jeopardizing their GPA right now, especially if they still are in impacted majors like nursing, or PhD bound in the medical field, STEM, engineering. Those high GPAs are really important for impacted majors on transfer. So trying to identify how we can support and reduce that barrier and that concern about being able to do really well in the online environment right now and preserve a wonderful GPA that they're proud of. So we do hope to offer more tutoring sessions this year, and to make sure that students feel supported. I don't know, for those of you in the room that may have embedded tutoring, if you have any insight you could provide to anyone who might be watching this back or any students in this space.
I think Larry Green had something about it.
Yeah, so you were mentioning statistics. We are doing embedded tutoring in statistics. I'm not sure if we have identified the tutor yet, but what it really helps with is there's someone in the class watching the Zoom lectures, and the tutor really is connected to the students and to what's going on, what assignments do, and how to help them in the best way possible. And I think that's why embedded tutoring works really well, because of that connection. And yeah, so I know my class and my online classes, because online and Eve now are not the same, but they're similar, are embedded, and Win is going to do an embedded tutoring classes with her stats classes too.
I just found out a couple days ago that my embedded tutor for my statistics and pre-statistics class is Kevin Morrell. He's really awesome, so I'm really grateful and looking forward to working with him again.
And since we're talking math for both Larry and Win, like in addition to tutoring, I think you do like live, you can help students like in Zoom doing live math tutoring, right?
Definitely. I have all my office hours are live on Zoom.
Yeah, and mine are all live on Zoom also. All of my office hours. The other thing I've got is that for my statistics class, so if someone's even not in my statistics class, I post them on YouTube. So if they're not in mine, they can still watch them. So they can get, another perspective of statistics, but, it's all the same content, but it might help a little bit.
I've watched many of them, Larry. I love them. And what I love is you're all over campus. So it's kind of a mini campus tour and learning about math at the same time. So.
And I have links to all of Larry's videos in my classes as well.
Great.
They're really excellent.
Yeah, so that's great to hear. And kind of just, connecting the dots, Julie was talking about promise. We have so many opportunities on campus, again, kind of the safety net metaphor we're talking about to help you out. So if you're struggling in your math class, you could go to your instructor, Zoom with them, watch the videos, do all the interactive stuff on Canvas. You could also then work with an ambassador, a navigator on campus. They can direct you in the right place. Melanie at the library has the tutoring services all set up. We started this embedded tutoring system as well. So you have someone typically in a math or English class who will sit in. As a former student, they will know the instructor's style. They'll help you out in study sessions. And then in addition to all that, when you log on to Canvas, at any time on your class, click what's the tutoring link on the left-hand side there, and you will then be directed to a live tutor, typically 24/7. If not, you can leave a ticket, a support ticket. But these are people that have at least a bachelor's degree or higher in the subject in which they're tutoring. And I've checked Anthro and Soc. I mean, they have it for just about every discipline out there that you can imagine. So just like financial aid, take advantage of it because we have the support, we have the services. Take advantage of what we offer in all those areas. Who was was it Win? Were you trying to say something? I saw.
Oh, I think I forgot to mute. I apologize.
Oh, that's okay. No worries. Yeah, so any other questions? Students, do you have any other questions out there about Promise Program, about tutoring, about getting help in your classes? Glenn, if you're on, it looks like Trevor left you a link and said that Pete Dixon is available. So if you check the group chat here, you can jump right onto Cranium Cafe and get some one-on-one help. So.
For Glenn, we're both watching Pete. He's with a student, and I did text Christy. I know we have some counselors at the drive-in for those who might come. So just stay tuned. We're going to try to get you in queue and make sure that we can get you helped out. I just want to do one more selfless plug, and that is it's not too late to join the Promise program. We still have 2 weeks to get everyone that we can and put into the program. If we onboard you a little late, that's okay too. I don't want you to be stressed out about, the program status. I'd rather your focus be in the classroom and make sure you're in 12 units right now, and we'll figure the rest out together. For those of you who still see a balance on your account, I'm going to put my email here in the chat. Contact me, and it'd help if I spelled my email correctly. Pop me an email, and we can try to onboard you quickly and seamlessly. So just let me know. Just pop me an email, and we'll get you going. But it's not too late to be in the Promise program, and it's a really great way to have support. And basically, you're going to have to deal with all this for 2 years. So if this is not too much to handle and you want to hang out with me for 2 years, I would love for you to join the team. this scholars program is pretty wonderful. You get a lot of help that otherwise you'd have to be figuring out by yourself. So that's our job, and we're happy to help people. So just let me know if you want to join.
And Julie, quick question on that with all the perks. So even though we're mostly virtual, the book stuff, that still applies this quarter?
It does. And one thing for instructors, again, I love my selfless soapboxes when I can get on them. We are seeing a tremendous amount of confusion with the bookstore and showing listings. That's another number one question I'm getting is, how do I know my books? And then, thank goodness for Melanie Chu and her leadership. I know she's contacting you on the students' behalf because we're not seeing those books in the bookstore. If you have an access code for your class and you want to email that to me, I would be happy to look on Amazon. One other barrier that I am noticing is that specifically for like the Spanish access code. When students buy it from the bookstore, you get like an actual gift card code they need to pick up in order to redeem it, which is kind of a bummer if we have students who need to have that mailed to them. It's not an instant download like we're familiar with. So if you have an access code, Sean, I know you were talking about one maybe in your class, send that over to me so I can Google it and see what price I can get. Then I will deduct that from their Promise bookstore class or their bookstore money.
Julie? Hi, it's Kata here. So thank you so much for helping the students with the access codes. I know what the situation is, we know. And we are trying to get a better way to serve our students, but I really appreciate your willingness to serve them. And you can text me anytime.
Excellent. Thank you, Kata. One of our great world languages instructors. And it's a good opportunity just to talk about, we're talking about textbooks. Again, the Promise program, a lot of perks, including those, textbook vouchers that you get. There's another reason you should certainly log onto your class. Trevor always makes sure that we publish all these by Sunday, I think 5 p.m. When you log on, you're going to get information about your textbooks. And there are some classes out there, even though Larry Green and Melanie Chu have been so involved in the Zero Textbook Project, we sometimes have instructors teaching classes that actually, it may not say in your schedule, but they actually offer free textbooks. I know my class that I'm offering in the fall, the Visual Anthropology, Anthro 106, is 100% free textbook. So I really advise you also to log onto your class early. Don't buy a book if you don't need a book. If it's provided for you free, then take advantage of that. And one way to find that out is to log onto your class on Sunday, and you can see the textbook requirements. And if anything's ever not listed there, inbox or email your instructor to find out the information about textbooks. Again, things are available online. If they're free, you can also purchase books sometimes from online retailers. Keep in mind with the crisis of COVID and the USPS, things are taking longer. The Amazon thing that some people signed up for, the 2-day, that's gone out. It typically is taking about a week now for the fastest Amazon I've noticed to arrive. Could be longer. So, having your textbook at the beginning of your quarter of your class is really important, because if you fall behind and don't have that information, it's just important to really think about getting that textbook if you have to purchase it. Kata, were you trying to jump on, or I saw your...
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay.
If someone is taking SPA 221A, it's no book. If someone is taking my class.
Okay.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you. Michael, did you have a?
Yeah, I was just going to add that I'm using a textbook in one of my classes, 101, but I don't use the textbook until the third week. I try to figure out what can I do in the first 2 weeks to give students time to get those books, and that works for me.
That's
Thank
really
you, Michael. That is so helpful, because we do have some folks who are still putting in last-minute book requests, and right now it's really difficult with COVID to get those from Amazon and to get them in and in the hands of our students. So anything we can do, and those ways to modify and adapt are absolutely amazing. And again, if you have access codes, pop me an email and I can start working with folks like Brian, who I know is going to be in that class, and maybe trying to get ahead of downloading those access codes for him now and not have to wait for a physical gift card before he can get online.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, flexibility. I mean, we're really messaging to all the faculty to try to be flexible. When you log onto your Canvas class, you'll see typically under your modules, but also under the syllabus, information about readings. This is just a sample from my class. So again, if you have a reading and it's free, it'll just appear here. Typically, you know, as a PDF, could be something else. There's a lot of good open source journals out there for faculty, so we can use these in our classes. Larry mentioned here for math, every single math class is completely free, books and other materials. So any math class, it sounds like, Larry, when they don't have to buy a book, they just show up. It's a good deal.
Yeah, we even have calculators for any student who wants to go to the library and pick one up for the entire quarter for free. You have to return it at the end of the quarter.
Can I add something, Scott?
Yeah.
Thank you. For when students for anatomy and physiology class, when students access to mastering AMP course, they can access to e-textbook. But most of the times, my students like to have the hard copy of the book because they like to open it and compare the bones with the pictures. And the best recommendation is the same book they can access on e-textbook. They can just buy lower edition of that book on Amazon if they want for just less than sometimes $10. And that's a great thing because for courses like anatomy and physiology, the name of the bones or muscles is not going to be changed by a higher edition of that book. So they don't need to pay very expensive book, more than $200 to buy it. They can buy the same great book, same author, but lower edition, maybe edition 7, 8, 9, and they can buy it for $10, 15 maximum, and it's very great resource.
Excellent. Just replying to chat here. So again, and Dr. Risden mentioned the courses that are zero textbook are also in the schedule. Again, if some of the classes after the schedule went to print are zero textbook, you know, that may not be indicated in schedule. So the key is to connect with your instructors. A lot of questions come up here about how do we find out about the textbooks and so forth. So Julie provided a link that says here, if you're in a support program, click on the Google link. There's also a site to rent ebooks that Julie provided, vitalsource.com. Trevor Thomas wrote here, you can also go to the bookstore, link provided, barnesandnoble.com, and discover that. And then Michelle at the very bottom linked to the schedule. I wanted to mention, very important, what Behnaz is saying. There's a lot of flexibility in textbooks. So many of us use OpenStax through my alma mater, Rice University here. We use the book in sociology. And what's cool about OpenStax is there are opportunities you can read it for free. So you could download the PDF. You can also order a print copy. And even though it's, you know, more expensive than obviously free, it's very reasonable. I'm surprised at how much how cheap it is given that they're still printing these. So, but it's up to you. So if your style is you want a physical copy, you could always order that. You could download the PDF, and maybe, as Behnaz is saying, for some of those diagrams and charts, you could print those out on your printer or blow them up somehow on your computer, make them bigger, and just have those to study. And then for the readings, if you are comfortable reading on a phone or an e-reader, a Kindle or whatever, you could do that as well. So the flexibility is really built into a lot of these open source textbooks. And so hopefully that's going to help in combination with Julie's program in Promise to give you a voucher. I know some of you teaching in some of the like culinary arts or the fine arts, you may have materials fees, you may have to purchase something. Any questions like that, there's a lot of coordination going on at the department instructor level. So if you're wondering, like, if I need a kit for a particular class for an experiment, an at-home kit or a painting kit, please, again, log into your Canvas, Trevor always tells us, get on there by Sunday evening, and then you're going to learn about all your materials. If you need any materials for your class, or if you need a textbook, if it's not free, and so forth. So really good to know. Anything else, team, on books, materials? I really appreciate all that. This is why we're doing this. We have all these links that everyone crowdsourced here. So please do click on some of those links. Sue says, actually, Julie Booth says, Pete Dixon is now available in live chat. Go scroll up on the chat, click on Cranium Cafe, and connect with him. Sue Kloss says, for Bio 110 and 101, we have enough textbook loaners in the library for all enrolled students in these two courses. Check out a copy from our library if you wish. I forgot that. So the library has been amazing in terms of collecting textbooks, maybe the more expensive textbooks. Again, there is a procedure for checking those out. Does anyone know, are we doing a some kind of thing? Is there a rule about checking out textbooks because of COVID and decontamination? Anyone on board who can help with that? Anyone know? Michelle?
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, that's okay. Austin, you can go.
Or Austin, one of you, both.
Michelle might know a little bit more than me, but based on what I do know, yeah, students request their textbooks through the library or order them through the bookstore.
Mm-hmm.
They will be, put aside for the students. They're sorted at our distribution table here with the student's name, and they'll receive an email or some communication when their books or supplies are ready. And then they can come onto campus over to our pickup desk located in front of the library and check in and check out that material for the quarter.
Great.
Yeah, I'll just add, it's really important to know for the faculty and for the students who are here that we also have technology available for students. And so you probably maybe already talked about that, but if a student needs a computer, we do have Chromebooks. And the way to get those is that the faculty member will let us know through the instruction office, through Kenya. I'll drop her email, the instruction office email, in the chat. The instructor should let us know that he or she has students who need a computer, a Chromebook, and we will get that process started for them. Okay, I think that's it. So if there are any questions, I will put the instruction office email in the chat as well.
That's great. Thank you, Austin. Michelle. Michelle, do you know on the virtual, I thought it had the Chromebook thing, or is that not on here? I don't know. I'm on the virtual campus support page.
I'm not sure if it's on there. It probably, the request for support is always there. So you can always write that email and get a response that way as well.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. And I know, Austin, you guys have been working really hard. You put all the Wi-Fi boosters. Do you want to say anything about that? Like if a student wants to use Wi-Fi on campus, what does that look like?
Sure, yeah. So we recently installed some new Wi-Fi access points outside. So they hit the main parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
So if a student needs, a more stable Wi-Fi connection, they are able to drive onto campus into our main lot and park in their car and access our Wi-Fi that way. It's just called main lot Wi-Fi. It is on a timer, so I believe it shuts off at 5 or 6 p.m. every night around when campus would generally close. I'm not sure if that will change when we have fall classes going, because we do have some night classes and things like that. But yeah, students are able to do that. And then with the technology checkout, I'm sorry, I don't remember if it was mentioned, but we do have Wi-Fi boosters. So if students have unstable Wi-Fi or no Wi-Fi at home, they can check those out as well and get a Wi-Fi signal in their home.
That's great. Thanks, Austin. Yesterday, some of you were on during State of the College, right? We had some outages in South Shore, so these things happen, certainly, to think about just, technology needs now. Trevor, you're still on. I was going to ask you, what are you hearing about, are you hearing students are able to do a lot of their Canvas on their phones? Have you heard about access issues or how that's going?
I have not heard about any issues with that, any access. When they're using their phones, the Canvas, they have the mobile app, and so for your Android or your iPhone. And so I haven't, it's many times, like, especially with math, they have proctored exams with proctorios. So you wouldn't be wanting to do that with your phone. You would need to at least, and Chrome is actually the better browser to use for proctorios. So you would need to get access to a computer to actually complete your exam, because it requires a webcam being activated, so they can actually monitor the student taking the exam to for just those areas,
Right.
needing to verify that it is the student who is enrolled in the course taking the course and not using any extra materials that they shouldn't be. But yeah, I haven't heard of any issues. It is really interesting. Canvas is really working because of the COVID and everything going online, and so many, everybody's all the California colleges, community colleges are using Canvas, plus many of the universities. Our local K-12 just went to Canvas, so they're always really working on updating all their technologies and doing that. So I haven't heard of any issues yet, but we really jumped full-fledged on starting the quarter on Monday morning. So we'll see. I haven't heard of anything.
Yeah, and just going to mention, I use it all the time. There's a student and a teacher version of the Canvas app. So definitely download it. I've read assignments on here, graded them on here. It's sometimes really convenient because it's in the palm of your hand. So take advantage of that. We haven't talked about the Coyote Corner app as well, but we can later, certainly, if you're interested in that. The Coyote Corner app is really good to have. It has a lot of up-to-date campus information. If you just go to either of the versions on the two stores for Android or Mac, Apple, you can download that. And the feed is really good because it has a lot of information about classes or student clubs and so forth. And I know Promise and many other departments on campus tries to use Coyote Corner. So definitely download the app. Maybe I should get a couple questions here. So I think, Emily, you were asking about, was that scheduling issues, Michelle, that you responded to?
Yeah, I think Trevor and I were both responding
okay.
on the question of if you've received permission from an instructor to enroll in a class that you were on the wait list for.
Okay.
Trevor posted the enrollment services email. Go ahead and forward the permission from your instructor. You should have received an email or some kind of communication from them. If you can forward that to enrollment services at that enrollment services email, they should be able to help you get enrolled. And you can always contact the instruction office to see if they can help as well.
That's great. I think Emily said she got the email, so yeah.
Yeah, and just so students fully understand, that the waitlist process, for these online classes, that faculty, I've been trying to be very diplomatic in my responses when students have been contacting me. Can you please add me? And then I will check the wait list, and I see if they're number 3 or 4. So remember that as faculty, we do honor that wait list. And so if you're number 4 on the list and you contact me individually, it's not that I'm being insensitive to your needs. It's just really wanting to honor that I allow number 1 from the wait list to get into my class before, and then unless I increase my enrollments overall in my course and accept a lot of students. So I just want students to realize that there's kind of parameters that we need to, or guidelines that we follow as faculty also with the waitlist process. So just want to kind of throw that out there, because I've had that little bit of guilt as I've been answering those emails this week, but I just am really trying to honor that the process of the waitlist and the
Great
functionality.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question about the wait list. Will students who are on the wait list be trying to come into the class? Can I admit them to the class in my first Zoom, or they not have access because they're not officially enrolled?
Michael, they wouldn't have access to your course, any kind of course materials. But what you could do is that when you the Passport course rosters, you can click on the link at the bottom that says to show your waitlisted students.
Right.
So you could, that's what I've done in the past, is I take those emails addresses that are in there, and then I just send them the link to the Zoom meeting or something like that, so they don't miss out on instruction. So again, I think faculty, we need to remember that, that course roster you know, to email before you publish your Canvas site is really important. We should be using that. You know, you can't attach anything to it. You got to copy and paste into Outlook if you want to send your, you know, an attachment. But at least it's a good way to provide that those types of communications, again, about, you know, the textbook or when they should be first logging on, and you can send out that welcome message to them. You know, that's what I've been using before I publish my site. So I would encourage you to do that.
One other question I have, it's probably a question I've asked many times over the years, but I kind of need to update it and see if COVID has anything to do with it. But I usually do not add any of the wait list the first day if somebody doesn't show up, because I give them 24 hours. Is that something that I should hold to? Or does COVID change that? Because what I don't want to do is wind up with, you know, letting people in and then having someone the next day say, oh no, I want to take the class. So I usually wait, and I tell the waitlist students, I have to give everybody 24 hours to see if they contact me, even if they don't come to the first class. So does that sound right or okay?
I mean, technically, the way the policy reads is that, you know, if students don't attend the first class and they are on the roster, then a faculty member, they could potentially be dropped from that class by a faculty member.
So that's still it. Okay.
It's generous of you to allow them time to kind of contact you, I think, and that's fine if you want to adhere to that. I wanted to let you know that, remind the faculty and the students here that the wait lists for what we call EVE courses, and I don't think that's going to change this time. The wait lists stop building at, I think, today, after today. And for the online courses, they will continue to build next week until Wednesday. But so if a student contacts you after today about getting onto a class, they don't have the option of getting onto a wait list. So that's something just to keep in mind. The wait lists will kind of freeze at this point. And for some students who have been on a wait list and you've received that email saying, hey, a spot opened up, you have 24 hours to contact the instructor and get in or register for the class, that process also stops at this point. So students aren't contacted if a spot opens up in your class. The student wouldn't know that over this weekend. So you would want to reach out to those waitlist students and let them know, hey, there's spaces, show up on Monday in my Zoom or what have you, if you were thinking about adding. And then, you know, obviously there is a way of adding above the number of students that the course is capped at, if that's the faculty member's choice as well.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Michelle and Trevor, Michael. And it goes kind of back to what we talked about earlier. Again, the real key is reach out to your instructors. You know, if you ever have a question about any of these issues or books or materials, the schedule of the class, how you're going to log on to Zoom, reach out to the instructor, log on. We always say if you can Sunday night, certainly early Monday morning. I want to mention Behnaz had a question here or comment about a student not being familiar with computer use, didn't have a cell phone. So kind of that could branch us in two directions as a campus. One is, you know, the work that Austin is doing with technology, Melanie in the library, maybe the Promise program as well. If the student needs access to technology, that's a real big issue for us right now. We realize that access to technology is not universal, unfortunately. I don't know why this country doesn't have universal free broadband communication, but I have my suspicions as to why we don't. But you need that technology. So if you lack it, get in touch with us and we can hook you up with the Chromebook, the hotspots, that kind of stuff. Textbooks we already covered. Behnaz, the second issue she's addressing is really going off into I was just going to say that the training side of things. So if you need help, you can reach out to your instructor, but we can also put you in contact with someone on campus, and you know, either us or someone else to help you out with the technology. Someone just wrote no hotspots. Is that Austin? I don't know. Someone wrote.
That was me. I've got a student right now who we requested one. He had a hotspot in the fall. And I did receive a message from the instruction office that we don't have Wi-Fi hubs right now. So I sent an email to Al and our IT team to see how we could mediate that, if at all. really hopeful we can come up with a solution for some of our students. And especially as we get into colder climate, it's going to be difficult for students to be in their car in parking lots. So I just wanted to share that with this group. Any way you can help me leverage pressure to find some, let me know.
I think, and bear in mind, this is just a game of telephone to get to me, but so the Wi-Fi hotspots that we had were lended to us. I don't know if it was from the chancellor's office or where they came from, but they were lended to us. My understanding is we are having to work on returning those now, but we have an order of our own hotspots that is either just showing up or has shown up. And I think Rusty's working on getting that distributed. That bear in mind, it's trickle down information that I've heard, but I believe that we will have our own in-house hotspots fairly soon to pass out.
Anyone else want to offer anything on that hotspot issue? Or
I'll just clarify that they were actually lent from the 100 and now I guess the 115th. It was, now there are 116 community colleges, but the 115th, the fully online college called Calbright. And because they weren't fully up and running, they did lend us those hotspots over the last year. And so, yeah, I think, Austin, that we are working on seeing if we can't get something that works better for our students in the long term.
That's great. Thank you, Michelle. Yeah, so again, the key is to get in touch. You know, there are people on campus that can help you. There are instructors out there, classified staff. We can all pitch in and get you what you need. But if we don't know that, again, we don't typically survey. I mean, it might be a good thing to do in our classes to say early on, if any of you need, I mean, I put a little thing in there about technology, but I don't think enough, thinking about this issue now transitioning to COVID. So maybe we should add that to our classes. I'm trying to look at the chat. Information about instructors, Trevor, thank you for posting. So yeah, if you click on the link in chat, it will take you to the academic programs. And then at that point, you could click on whatever your program is, and it'll typically either have, if there's a department chair, like Mark Williams, it'll list that person. If there isn't, I think it takes them to, it'll take you students to the deans, and then the deans can connect you with someone. But this is where your experts would be listed to help you out. And Trevor says, if you don't see the instructor, contact one of those listed. Normally they can provide you with the email address. So again, just reach out and we can put you in touch with the people who can help you out in whatever those needs are. So I just saw, hey, Kathy Cox, our amazing physics teacher. Anything you want to say to our students today, or say hello?
Hi. Yeah, I don't know what to say, except I'm really excited to see my students in class this week. And like Scott was saying, don't hesitate at all to reach out if you have any questions, because all the students have questions. Don't think you're alone and the only one. I have one other thought, even though I just got on, about Wi-Fi access. If you're really seriously having trouble, you can always come into the parking lot at LTCC. If you have a car, you can sit in your car. If it's not too cold outside, you can sit in some of the chairs and benches outside the school and get really good Wi-Fi access in a pinch if you're having trouble.
Yeah, that's great. And again, Austin was saying they're still working on whether there will be timers set up, and I guess that hasn't been determined yet, but certainly during the day, right, Austin? Like if you lunchtime.
Yeah, for sure during, you know, what would be normal staff working hours, so like 8 to 5, they're currently live. Okay. And yeah, I'm not sure, they'll probably keep them on later during fall quarter, but yeah, I don't know for sure.
That's great. And certainly, you know, we're in these times, it's not just you as students, but we as faculty, staff, administration, we're all adapting to this new environment of COVID. And we often have issues with our own technology, things that don't work, things that crash. So we're all in it together, seriously. But if you specifically need any materials for your class, whether that relates to technology, textbooks, readings, all that kind of stuff, depending on if you're in Promise program or not, reach out to us and we will put you in the right direction. If we don't know, we will definitely put you in the right direction. I'm just looking at the chat here. Just someone asked, Glenn, did you connect with Pete the counselor yet? I don't know if that happened, but if not, maybe it'd be good to do that soon. Again, we're done at 2 o'clock today, but we're not done, of course, in terms of help. So I will save the chat, and if there's anything that we need to follow up on with any of you individually, we will certainly do that. Are there some student questions out there? You can either ask virtually here, unmute yourself, or put it in the chat. Anything that because we have so many experts here right now, it'd be great to just answer any of those student questions that are coming up. Or Julie, if you received any new ones by text or something. Someone asked about MySpace. Yeah, MySpace did die decades ago, isn't it? I don't know how I know this trivia, but didn't Justin Timberlake buy out MySpace? Wasn't that a thing? I don't know what happened to it. But like really cheap. I mean, Justin Timberlake, of course, could afford just about anything, but I think he got MySpace for super cheap, and it kind of died. But let's see. Oh, that was from JD. That was terrible. Yeah, humor. Let me give you a boo for that joke. Humor was probably like, okay, it's an opportunity, JD. Are you dying for? Do we need to tell a joke then? Is it time for a joke? I think it might be.
It's
JD?
actually, it's a bit of musical trivia. MySpace actually lived on longer after almost everybody who was using social media moved to Facebook. MySpace was actually popular until Bandcamp became a thing as a way for young, small bands and musicians to get noticed. They always linked to their MySpace because they could post their videos there easier than Facebook.
Hey, since we're on the subject of music, a little diversion here, I'll show you something. So this is a new thing. These researchers came up with this thing. It's an artificially intelligent jukebox. And if you're interested in this, just Google AI jukebox, and it's a really cool, you can actually download the code. So they culled like over 1 million songs and took all the metadata from those songs, and they created this crazy map of like different artists and different genres. And I thought of this because Mark Williams was talking about this the other day in our faculty meeting. So this is an example of it. What it did then, it took the stylistics of Elvis and it tried to approximate. It's the music, it's the singing, it's like the breaks in the song, chorus, verse. And then the funny thing is it actually used artificial intelligence to create the language. So check this out. It's really strange. I think it's amazing, but it's also quite strange when you see the lyrics. Let's see here.
I'm dusty, tanny, almost scarred, but the lip hitch tells the heart. When my toe slips, when my health is decline. At last, when he woke up with a mind. I'm dusty, tanny, but need help from Goethe to the picture rack. When he sees he was a dunce, listen to me. At last, he woke up in his soul.
So that was fully generated, isn't that funky, by a computer, the language and everything. I don't get the lyrics at all, but I don't know what you think of that, but this is kind of the future of some of this. And I think Julie logged off, Michelle's still on. We were talking about storytelling. They're also trying to do this with like poetry and, writing a novel and stuff. And you see they still have a long way to go, but it is kind of amazing to see how the voice, and towards the end there's some cheering and stuff, and sometimes it gets off, but even writing lyrics based on the type of lyrics that are specific to that genre of music. So anyway, like a little
Allen it's the latest Allen Ginsberg beat poetry.
Yeah. And they do it for all the genres. So if you're interested, you could look up metal and country, and there's a Katy Perry version. And then the other thing is you can take an artist and you can have, like, you could have Eminem sing a Kanye West song in the style of Kanye West or vice versa. So it's really wild that it's able to do all this. But anyway, I digress. What else is happening in the chat? It's about the mitosis. Yeah, I love the lyrics. And it's a song called Mitosis that I guess a computer wrote. So, and Amber says it's hashtag the future of art. Is that going to happen to us? Are we all going to become irrelevant in the future as administrators, faculty, and staff? Are we going to be replaced by virtually intelligent bots. Do you think that's going to happen, anyone? I hope not. I don't know. Any thoughts on that? Yeah, Michelle, I agree. It's very awkward. So that's why I'm all about awkward. So that's why I showed it.
I've had colleagues that think virtual will totally take over.
Kind of is. I mean, I'm amazed as an institution, like how quickly we just threw everything online. I shouldn't say throw, but you know, we had some thought behind it, but there was a little bit of crossing our fingers, and I think we were amazed at how great it went. And now that we have a couple quarters under our belt here, I think it's going to be even better here in fall quarter. So anyone have thoughts on that? Students, faculty, staff, administration, about just how you're having to adapt to working in more of a virtual environment and how it's challenging?
Well,
I think one thing, go ahead. I was going to say, I think one thing to maybe any students that are concerned that they don't know how this all works, we're in the same boat, a lot of us. We're kind of figuring it out along with you. So it's really a group effort. It takes patience, trial and error, and just to let people know not to feel intimidated by the modality, because we're all lifelong learners and we're figuring this out right along there with you. But these are literally unprecedented times. So to the extent that you can tell yourself not to feel like you have to know it all, do that as much as you can, because we don't either.
Good advice. Great advice.
No, I was just going to add, what concerns me probably the most is if we, with music performance, you know, it's fine. It's fairly easy to do a music history class or a music theory class, even in a virtual environment. But besides these, you know, virtual choirs that, you know, that they're doing, that's kind of about the only sort of experience that a lot of the music performers are getting right now. Mm-hmm. And I know for myself personally, I mean, if I have to teach a performance class in voice, you know, there's no way I can probe up underneath their chin to check the muscle tension of their tongue unless I'm standing right next to them. Unless they figure out a holographic version of that with technology, which I suppose they could. I don't know, but yeah, well, saying that as far as the instruction aspect of it, and even as far as the ensemble and group aspect of music performance, you know, unless some of it, at least if it doesn't eventually go back to what I call sort of the old normal, I don't know how the performance, I don't know how that will survive economically, because, you know, a producer or whoever is putting on the, you know, the production, they're not going to make enough money at it at 50% capacity by, you know, making sure everybody's in every other seat in the auditorium, unless they double their ticket price. And then we get to a point where, well, then what are we going to have? Performance, you know, the performing arts for the elite rich people, you know, because they're going to be the only ones that can afford it.
Really just, yeah, great, like philosophical, conceptual issues. I think we're dealing with this in everyday life, you know, things we enjoy doing and we can't, and we have to do them virtually. But specifically in terms of the classroom, I'm looking at Kathy and I'm thinking, you know, there are certain disciplines, if I have to put my class next to Kathy's, I'm going to be like, I can do mine virtually. Yeah, it'd be better in the classroom, but when I look at some of our science faculty or music, any of you working with technology, lab equipment, wow. It's amazing just thinking about getting that stuff online and making it work the best that you can, given all these crazy realities of COVID. So totally, yeah. Kathy.
You know what I think will happen? I think this is often the case, that it's like a pendulum. So it used to be everything was, you know, live, and if you were wealthy enough, you could go to college. And I think the pendulum will swing all the way over to fully online classes. And then people will realize that some disciplines don't lend themselves very well to that. And realize that there really is value in human connection, real life human connection, including in the way we learn. Like, it's not just, hearing what your instructor has to say, but, there's something about being together in the classroom and having discussions and hearing what all the other students have to say, and making connections and making friendships. And then hopefully, ultimately, the pendulum will find some equilibrium in the middle, where there's some classes offered online because they really, lend themselves well to being taught online, and some classes that need to be taken live. And hopefully, most students will have at least some experience with live in the classroom, classes being offered.
I think Kathy is absolutely correct. And one point I would offer is, would you like to go the rest of your life never hanging out with people? I think most folks would answer no. So if you were satisfied with just having e-exchanges, I mean, at some parts of your life, yes, but all parts of your life, no. And I think the same, I don't see how it would be any different. The same would apply to education. I like the fact that I can communicate with people electronically, but I wouldn't want to go the rest of my life and never see my close friends ever again. I mean, it just wouldn't work. So.
Totally agree. Quite a few people win, and Beth saying we're missing the human connections. For sure. I think everyone's in that same situation, trying to adapt to this and trying to make the best of it, given the real challenges that, we'll get close to a year, right? Doing this in isolation, we'll be like, how do we make it this long and this far? So for sure. But I've just been amazed at how quickly the campus has come together, and everyone team effort, to just get things moving and going in this positive direction. And, for any students out there, certainly faculty, if you have ideas, if you're learning a concept in your class and you're like, hey, I heard about this app, or I heard about this approach, let us know, because we know some technology, but we're not experts in all technology. I was on a webinar yesterday talking about using text messaging programs to communicate with students. So let us know. I mean, we're always, I think, willing to adapt how we approach things for your learning styles and your interests and so forth. Really great thoughts. Hey, students online, do you want to ask any? We're down about 10 minutes. And I know Michelle Risden said at 2 o'clock, there's a hybrid webinar. So if you need information about that, let us know. And she also mentioned there are 2 more next week. If you're registered in a hybrid class, you've received an email about how to take part. So thank you, Michael, for coming. Need to depart. So any student questions out there that we would like to answer here as our time grows short? Or other thoughts from faculty, staff about tips for students and how to make this work in the fall as we continue in our virtual modes of teaching and instruction? Otherwise, I think you're asking, I think you want me to tell a joke, don't you?
No, I was going to say, instead of Scott's jokes, we could have tell the students they need to bring a joke.
Okay, for icebreaker. But can I read one really? This is my best one. Can I try this? Okay, here you go. How many Marxists does it take to change a light bulb?
Oh, God.
Come on, somebody.
They can't?
Close. None. The light bulb contains the seeds of its own revolution. I know. All right. I told you, if you don't talk, I'm telling academic jokes. I got more, so. JD, tell us a joke.
I don't have one off the top of my head, to be honest.
The MySpace joke was pretty funny. I mean, it actually fooled me. So that's.
You didn't like that? You didn't like that? I don't really know.
I liked it. It was a true joke, and that it fooled me. And I was like, oh, well, I better answer this because a student asked about MySpace, and I'm like, who's this student that he or she is so archaic, as in like late Pleistocene archaic, that they're talking about MySpace? But okay, there's your answer. So
there you go.
Let's see.
Oh, could I just get serious for 1 minute again?
Yeah, please.
My tip for students is one of the most important elements in your education that that helps you get through, and we've heard all sorts of lectures and read all sorts of pedagogical research about this, is engagement. So engage with people, engage with your fellow students, engage with your instructors, engage with your the folks who run the school, basically the classified staff, like Danny Massalonis or Raina Rhaegar or any of those folks we've been talking about in One Stop or A&R or financial aid, with your administrators. And those are one of the most important keys to helping you get through school, in my opinion. So engagement's really, really important. And hopefully you've gotten just a little bit of a taste of that today. Thanks, everybody.
That's great, Sue. I mean, it kind of combines a lot of the stuff we've been talking about today, just with technology and adapting to it, and how LTCC does have this, I think, a really great safety net. You know, it's gotten so much better. I've been here talk about dating myself in the Pleistocene, I don't know, 24 years or something crazy, but we've improved so much just in terms of providing students, even before Promise. I mean, Promise is wonderful, but I think we're just finally figuring some things out that we have to reach our students where they need our help. And I think we're just so committed to that. And I think if you're new to LTCC, I think you'll discover that. And if you're a new student, I really hope you do reach out, because we're here to help for sure. So what other, we have like 6 minutes. Like we could do closing thoughts or comments, concerns, other tips for students, things you're looking forward to in the fall. I mean, I've got more. I got material here. I've got a Sartre joke, so.
Well, Scott, I want to thank you for all you're doing. You are also, you are also the perfect host for one of these. I could never. I mean, I don't have enough multitasking skill to keep track of all of that stuff at the same time, and then to coherently keep talking about something while I'm trying to do something else. Doesn't work for me. So thank you for what you do and for all you've done, especially this week, but hosting this today. You've been awesome. So we appreciate it.
I appreciate that. Loved every moment of it. And all of you were great for jumping in and asking questions. I know it was a little crazy and there was confusion this morning about when does it start. And did anyone have a chance did anyone attend the in-person today? What happened? Did it go okay on campus?
Yeah, I'm on campus. A little bit of a slow start, but I think it was actually due to construction or something. Okay. I think they had a decent amount of people show up, similar to the FastPass registration. Obviously, well, maybe not obviously, but they did have to cancel the food, so that's kind of a bummer. That's why I'm here, but oh well. But I think the event itself did go well. I went out a few times, and there was always a pretty decent stream of cars, so
that's cool.
I think it was pretty successful.
Yeah.
Is there a question in the chat box? I think there's a question.
Oh, question. Yeah.
Emily.
Oh, if we took our photos at the campus event, when should we receive our ID? Oh boy.
They actually should have printed out your ID right there and handed it to you. So if that didn't happen, make sure to follow up with that ambassador email or Shauna's email, and just let them know that you showed up. And for some reason you weren't able to get the card, they can print one out to you and mail it to you, or you can come pick it up.
Thanks for catching that. I'll try to see. Sounds good. Thank you, Emily says. Okay, cool. Yeah, any of those questions about, a book lending or anything that involves like a physical component, reach out, because I know there are procedures in place for checking things out and quarantining and checking your temperature when you arrive on campus and all that important stuff. So definitely check that out and get in touch if you have questions. Anything else? Appreciate all the kudos. This was fun. I think I'm one of those nerds. I like this virtual stuff, you know, hashtag embrace the virtual. So no, in all seriousness, I think, you know, I do miss the human connections too, but another side of it is giving access to people who maybe didn't have it in the past because you could do everything virtually. It's saving some carbon, although I read a thing recently that, you know, the number of jobs lost due to transitioning to virtual, if you don't keep your job in the virtual sense like many of us have, fortunately, then, you know, that isn't a benefit. So it's always like there's, you know, plus and minuses when you think about something like this. But I thought for years, you know, with academic conferences that people should not be doing, I mean, as a graduate student trying to spend $2,000 to go to the anthro or the social meetings and all that carbon, flying across the country, staying in hotels and all that stuff. But I don't know, kind of goes back to JD's quasi-optimism about climate change, as was asked earlier. So it's having some positive impacts for sure. So I don't know, anything else? Closing words for the day. Anyone who didn't
Well,
get
Scott, certainly you and I saved money and carbon not having to drive up to you know, up to South
many
Shore.
of us. Many of us here, you know, Sacramento, Minden, yeah, quite a few people commuting. So it definitely, you know, has saved on gas and stuff. So, yeah.
Who wants the Sartre joke?
You should make that the closer, Scott. Make the
Okay, here's a
joke
Sartre joke. All right. Okay, where is it? Okay, Jean-Paul Sartre was sitting in a French cafe revising his draft of Being and Nothingness. He says to the waitress, "I'd like a cup of coffee, please, but with no cream." The waitress replies, "I'm sorry, sir, but we're out of cream. How about with no milk?" You asked for it. You ask, you receive.
That's sort of like getting paid for not growing corn. I wanted to sign up for that.
Or I can just play the kalimba. Okay, well, we have a minute left. And so any last thoughts, questions?
Scott, thank you.
Thank you, Walter.
I was going to say thank you for making this fun and bringing that that level of enthusiasm that only you can bring.
I know about that. Lots of caffeine.
What I mean by that is you were you just killed it, Scott. So thanks so much.
At this moment, I'm going to drop the mic. Can I do that officially? I've never dropped the mic, but it's going to damage my mic. So I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, we're going to call it to a close. We will see all of you. Thank you, students, for attending, classified staff, administrators, faculty, cast of thousands.
Thanks, Scott.
We'll see you all next week. Faculty, Tuesday, 12 to 1, we're going to have a continuation of the race and anti-racism dialogue. So if you're interested, I will send out a reminder. So stay safe, take some time for yourselves, pet a pet, hug someone, and keep sane in these times. So. And that is it. Goodbye, everyone.